What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Reality Kingdom, where we put the real in reality or whatever. Period. I am your host, Pharaoh. We're joined by the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Renee, head girly pop in charge. Period. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing good. I'm excited to talk about this week, honestly.
I need to get into it right away because we have some stuff to talk about. What the heck is going on in there? Oh my gosh.
Girl, this week has been absolutely insane. I feel like every single week this season has been just crazy on top of craziness. You go to sleep one day, you wake up the next, and like it's a whole different target. Like I can't keep up, especially this week because it was like all the way cut out for the weekend, and then we got everything today, and I was just like, oh god, let me catch up. And it was just like, I don't know, it's so much going on.
So much, and I feel like we're now seeing a little. I love this point of the game because I think we're really getting to peel back the layers and seeing more of these characters, because I feel like the first couple weeks it was like the all-star show, and now it's like we're seeing how good or bad like people are playing now, and you're really able to make like a judgment off of it.
Do y'all know that the ghetto just happened? What?
Girl, we tried to keep professional and keep going. We was like,
I was like, who's gonna let him know? Do I keep talking? Like, I don't know.
Girl,
I was like, let's just keep it going. Let's keep it rolling.
Why did my entire laptop restart? Did it come back fast? It did. It ate that up. But why did it just the world is up against me today? We're back. And we're better at the Reality Kingdom. What the heck? Anyways, what y'all talking about the week? It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on.
We have
staying spicy.
We have things happening, but we're here. We're back. We're doing it.
Boom. So let's get into the week because Elijah wins the HOH. He gets literally picked up by Anthony. Anthony lifts him up out of nowhere like a baby, like Mufasa.
That was hilarious.
Like Simba and Mufasa. That was hilarious.
I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, but I was like, pop off, Goose. I feel like it's very fitting for his like energy this week, you know?
Definitely.
Honestly,
I thought it was gonna give top dog this week, but child.
Lee, you a hopeful king because
I was very hopeful, but too hopeful. It was too hopeful for me. I have thoughts on it.
Child. we gonna get
me hopeful with Anthony in the house.
We gonna get to it.
Any hope you have for anyone else to take control of this season, it's never gonna happen. Not with Anthony in the game.
Throw it out the window. So Elijah wins the HOH. He actually wants to target Bayleigh. Mm-hmm. But to target Bayleigh, he wants to put up 2 pawns and then backdoor her. Not sure why. Don't ask me. So he wants to nominate Tola and Todd. That's exactly what he does. And the goal is to backdoor Bayleigh. When the veto happens, Lexus wins the veto. And at this point, we have, a difference in opinion because the girls don't want Bayleigh to be backdoored, but Anthony and some of his boys do want Bayleigh to be backdoored. They just want the plan to go the way it's going. So the girls' idea was to maybe try to get Vivek on the block, maybe do something else. And then we get a spicy Elijah, actually, a spicy Goose, because Goose starts letting Spicy V, Avery, and Kayla, the 3 musketeers, he starts letting them know that Matt is insinuating that they're not trustworthy. They felt like this was an attack and that Matt and Lexus needed to go. And y'all saw in the episode, Spicy V was already annoyed with Lexus and Matt as a showman's. So they basically decided, okay, we need to try to get maybe even Matt backdoored. We need to go to work. We need to do what we need to do to make sure we're good because they're coming after us and we got to take the shot before they take a shot. So they tried to get Matt backdoored. Lexus found out about it because Goose started telling Lexus and Matt information. Lexus and Matt everybody was going over. So Lexus ends up not using the veto. The nominations stay the same. The final nominees are Tola and Todd. So we think, because we saw at the end of this episode that an executive veto might be in place. So it's a lot going on. Renee, how are you feeling about this week, child?
You know what? When Elijah won, or Goose, whatever we want to call him now, or Goose. There's just too many names for him right now. But I was like, I had mixed feelings about it because I was like, I can see him either doing something like so iconic that like he doesn't even know how iconic it is and he just kind of like falls into it and it works for him, or I can see him just like, you know, flying under the radar with Dougie and just doing whatever and playing into the Dougie show or whatever. But then I was like, on the third hand, I feel like he could do something like really whack and like him think it's like amazing,
Right.
and it be whack, and lo and behold, I don't understand. If I was in the house with Goose, Elijah, Goof, whatever you want to call him, but like it's just not. It didn't hit this week for me with whatever he was trying to do, and I feel like you can see how little grasp he has in the house, unfortunately. And people are just like still running their own shows. It's like I honestly forgot who the HOH was this week because I was like, everybody else is dictating their own thing and moving their own pieces. And like, he's just like saving, like keeping the house warm, like or the room warm for the week. Like, like it's just, I'm not happy with it. I don't love it. I don't get it. I don't see like what he's trying to build. The one thing I will give him is like, he was trying to shake up the dynamic in the house because he was the pawn.
Right.
So if you throw something into it and shake it up properly, and properly is like the key emphasis word, maybe he could have like shifted his position to not be that pawn anymore. But I feel like he was doing that at first. I think him filtering the information around was good at the beginning because it's like, oh, like you're talking about me. What the heck, Tola? This, that. There's new targets. There's new people that can be the pawns if that move doesn't come through. But man, it just like he did it in a way that it's still like everybody kind of turned back and was like, Goose, what the hell are you doing? So it's like, I don't know. I'm not loving it. I'm not loving it this week. So I'm doing that do not disturb on my phone here. I don't like the pings coming through.
You're good. But no, I definitely agree with a lot. Like I thought this was gonna be a big week for Goose. Like I thought he was one of those players, like I don't know, like I thought maybe Kevin Jacobs Jr. Like, is he gonna come and take the Kevin? Is he gonna come and take the Kevin crown? I mean, we have our answer. That's a big ass no. But like it's just like it was a lot, especially with the misinformation. The key word this week is misinformation. Because this week, I guess Goose felt like he wanted to, you know, get to the bottom of a lot of, I guess, things he was not aware about. So he was trying to like throw out certain names and targets to like just throw people off in general. But what he ended up doing was just spilling everyone's secrets to each other. And now by the end of this week, no one trusts him. And like, it was a lot to dissect to the digital dailies. But like, from the gist that I got from it is that he was told by Kayla originally that if Matt were to win HOH, Matt would have targeted him and Tola. That's what Kayla told him. So basically, he was already feeling a little bit iffy about Matt from that. And then Matt came up to him and told him, well, I have trust with Lexus, Anthony, and you. So Goose took that and flipped it and said, well, clearly he only has trust with this side of the alliance and he doesn't trust Spicy, Kayla, or Avery. Then he went and told the three of them that that's what Matt said, leading them to want to target Matt. And it's like, by the end of the week, he then feels like, because basically it all gets back to Matt, it gets to Lexus, it all comes out. And by the end of the week, he's starting to feel like, well, these girls pit me against Matt because they were leaking no secrets about potentially nominating him. Because of the digital dailies, like I feel like we don't have like the for sure like origin of like where the distrust came from, but like that's the most information we can really get from it. But now by the end of it, it's like everyone just believes Spicy and Anthony, which always happens by the end of the week. Everyone just basically believes what they're saying. And everyone now distrusts Goose. Like, Goose is probably going to go home next because to protect himself, he's like, oh, well, it was Spicy, Avery, and Kayla who were saying and doing all of these things. So they're just done with him altogether. It's just like, it's so messy. It was messier than Vivek and Spicy's combined. Like, I can't.
And I
feel like too much, I think. You need like
at the beginning of the week, I felt like I was liking what he was doing. So it's like I wasn't expecting the back to back. Y'all all flopping low key because at the beginning of the week we saw his diary rooms and he was talking about It's obvious they don't prioritize me. Spicy V nominated me as a pawn. And they were okay with me being a spawn. Kayla didn't even veto me. She vetoed somebody not in the alliance that I think is going on. So it made me think, oh, okay, he knows what's going on. He's gonna eat it up. And my first thought was, okay, Elijah, you got an HOH. You were clearly not, prioritized an alliance. The best thing you should do is create an alliance within this alliance. Clearly, you're not locked into this alliance the way you need to be. You should create some type of foursome to get yourself to the end of the game. My thought was the people you're close to, like Lexus, Matt, and Anthony, maybe that 4 can be a 4 within the alliance, not the people who nominated you and didn't use the veto on you. But I think he did get that concept, and he tried to use that concept for the people who nominated him and didn't use the veto on him. So now he's deciding the people I'm going to be loyal to, the people that I'm going to try to work with is Spicy V, who nominated me, Kayla, who didn't use the veto on me, and Avery, who don't give a damn about me, instead of the people he had a relationship with. The reason the alliance started was because him and Matt were so close and they wanted to work together in an alliance. And it's like, hello. So I think he kind of got the idea of, let me make this subgroup, and he chose the wrong people. Period. Child.
I think, you know what? I think he is where I will agree with you with that. And I loved Goose for the longest time in terms of just like, I felt like he was just like a quirky little energy there, whatever. He was, doing his own thing. But I feel like he's self-aware enough to know like his position in the game, but he doesn't seem to know how to like navigate it. I feel like he has conversations, like he hears Kayla was pitching for Dinis and things like that, and he goes and approaches Kayla and he's like, yeah, like Tola said this about you or whatever. And Kayla, which she was at one point, they were all flip-flopping the week before, so she tells him like, no, it wasn't this, that, and he completely accepts it. Like he like crosses his arm and he's like, yeah, like totally. And I'm like, you wouldn't question any more into that. Like things come up for a reason. Like things don't just like, yes, granted, sometimes things float around in the air and there's a lot of misinformation in that. But I feel like he did this snooping, but at like a surface level, and he just like stopped at face value. And it's like, you can never take anything at face value, especially in this game. So I'm like, as HOH, like this is your opportunity to like really dig deep. And I just feel like he just took the surface level information, stirred it up like a whirlpool, and then was like, now I'm mad. And I'm like, but do more. Like to have power at that point in the game can be so great or like so awful for your game. And I feel like he had this, like, same with Vivek. I had high hopes for that man. That maybe something in there. Like I was trying to send it his way because he was also kind of like on the ball with saying like, like these people are talking a lot together and like those people are always hanging out. Like they're saying these things verbally, and I see it in the digital dailies, which is why I'm like, ooh, like that's what puts you at the edge of your seat to be like, just go with that. But it's hard to know in a game like that too. So I have like sympathy for it, but I just was expecting a bit more from like Elijah's HOH. I don't know exactly like what I was expecting, but I was like hoping that it was going to give him the best footing going into next week, because they might keep him around honestly just to be that pawn seat, but he has no equity in like the social equity in the game. Like he just like, he is the HOH and he has no ability to like control it. And like see again, like you see Anthony's like mastery coming through, because it's like I loved what he said this week in the diary room, because like last week, now you're really seeing like, holy, this man can like work magic. Love it, hate it, whatever, like I'm sure people playing in there are hating it, but like, watching it now, I'm like, damn, like he's doing that. And then it's like, he's like, I don't really have to talk to Elijah this week because my game's mud. And I was like, so freaking talk to him once. Like he is so like, I think some of those players like have the potential to get good confidence like that in their game, but like again, they're just navigating it for the first time, so it's like hard to go to toe with somebody like Anthony, like completely around the bend with like my thoughts and stuff. But dang, just
no, Anthony is eating it up for no reason. I was like expecting. I was expecting a lot more from Elijah's HOH too. Like I thought he was gonna be just a lot smarter, and he wasn't. Like I said, I expected him to like create relationships with some of the people some of the people in his alliance that he thinks is real or something, even outside of the alliance, something to create something. And he really didn't do any of that.
Like
He didn't
him
do
and Vivek should team it up and try something, because they have come out of 2 pretty iffy HOHs, and like this would be great for them to find like that solid thing that they need, because they're not going to get that in these alliances at this point. Things have gone established that I cannot see anybody being like, now I got to turn to Elijah and be like buddy with Elijah, or like turn to Vivek and but like those 2 are like 1 foot out the door at all times. Like that's how I see it, and it's just so unfortunate, but that like yeah, him
exactly how it is.
Yeah,
I even want to go to like his original plan, because his original plan didn't even happen, which was to backdoor Bayleigh. I didn't like his original plan. So what he was telling each of his alliance members one by one, he wasn't even. This is the issue. He talks to people in a manner that isn't inviting. Like I would expect you're a super fan of this game. You have the potential to be a good player, I guess. I don't know. And so when you get into this HOH, I'm expecting you to bring people in, come to Elijah's side, get on my side, even if we're in alliance. But instead, every time he brings a alliance member in the room, he's telling them the exact same thing. All right, so this week we're going to make sure that the nominations are going to be Tola and it's going to be Todd, and I just want to make sure they're on the block. But at the end of the week, I want Tola and Bayleigh to be the final 2 on the block, because Bayleigh's my target, and that's it. And then the next person comes in and he says, all right, you don't have anything to worry. He says the same thing to each different alliance member. And it's like, come on now.
And the worst part of that is Tola goes back and he's like, I'm indifferent to see Tola on the block, to be honest. Sorry. But it's like he went to him and he was like, but man, like, I don't know if I feel good about this plan. Like, what's the point of backdooring Bayleigh? Like, and then Elijah's kind of sitting there. He's like, yeah, like, like she can do a lot of damage. And I feel like he gave this media, like, this is his opportunity. And I stress this about him too, because he's been on the block. And when you're on the block, you play differently. You have to play differently. I say this on a broken record. You can't form as deep of relationships as you want to, because you have to be good with everybody to make sure the votes don't flip or the conversations aren't flipping or whatever it might be. And it's like, this was the week, and it was still early enough in the game that it's like he could have really showed people like a different side of Elijah or Goose. I don't know, show them the golden goose, bring out a different persona. I don't know. But it's like you could have showed people more of like that control and like that, like not like a dictator like way, but it's just like show more of that confidence and that of being like, hey, like I saw that you guys move like this. I feel like you guys have really good qualities. I feel like I could add to this. Like I'm really good at trivia. I have like this in my pocket, like blah, 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 blah. I can always step up for that. Like showcase those things. And so, even though you're in the HOH position, like from where he was last week, you still have to sell yourself because you still have X amount of weeks that you might need to be protected. So it's like, I feel like he didn't even host his meetings well. They were all over the place. I didn't understand. He was like having meetings in the hot tub. He was like having meetings like, he was
asking people, do you prefer to have your meeting in the hot tub or in the baby? We can talk game. What you talking about preference of where we're meeting? And
like have a pitch to you. Like, what do you need me to do? Like, it's just one of those things. It's like, I don't know. I just feel like, I think in his head, he does think he's pulling a Kevin Jacobs right now. And I think
I hope not.
I very much so hope not.
Not kidding. I just don't know. And it's not anything against him. I think he's like funny and cute, but like I just think like that's not always like the taste you want to go by in a game like this. So he can be funny and cute on the outside, In here you gotta figure it out.
I think at this point in the season, I'm definitely way more just intrigued into like the whole spicy G of it all, because I feel like really the person who is kicking up all of this at the end of the day is Spicy. She is the one that is running here telling this person that, running here and telling this person that. And like, so we even saw in the episode that basically the reason why Lexus was even scared to use veto was because Spicy's the one who told her that if she uses veto, that Avery and Kayla would be targeting her. which is why basically, we can assume that she probably also gave her the information about Goose saying that Matt wanted to have them targeted, because in the Digital Daily we see Lexus after Vito go to Elijah and say, well, all of this information has been getting out. It's been Kayla, it's been Spicy this entire time. And now we have a situation where Tola and Todd is on the block, and you have Bayleigh, of course, fighting for Todd to stay because she knows she needs Todd in this game. And then kind of Avery and Kayla on one side, because Kayla is aware that Tola threw her name out. And of course, Avery is, gonna listen to Spicy. That's her mother. But when Spicy then goes and talks to Anthony, Lexus, and Matt, she's telling them, well, we have to convince the other girls to vote this way because they don't want to keep Tola in this game. So it's so interesting to see her tell Anthony and them this one thing and say, we're down with this, I'm doing this, and say, it's them, it's the other girls, and then go to the other girls and be like, yeah, I don't know why Anthony's acting like that. And then go tell Lexus, yeah, those girls want to put you up, so you can't use Vito. It's like, I don't actually know what she truly wants at the end of the day. It's like she has no, just end goal. Like, each conversation is something different. Like, even in the last Digital Daily that we got today, she says that keeping Todd is better for us girls, I'm assuming Kayla, her, and Avery, because it weakens Anthony. And so I'm like, okay, girl, are you going to now, basically target Anthony? Are you going to use this information to do what you want, or at least not target Anthony, but keep your own power structure? Because I feel like these last few weeks, the things she's been doing, it really only helps Anthony. So I feel like, is she just going to submit and still take out Todd? I feel like she is. And it's like, so what's the point of doing all of this shit throughout the week to then, okay, I'm just going to go Anthony? Like, what?
I think Spicy is a fascinating player in a game like this. And especially to have that on a trained Spicy in your season, this is like next level. And I think Spicy knows strategically kind of like a general route of where she has to go. Does she stick to it all the time? Not really. Like, I feel like she did do things to benefit Anthony's game, and she was really just falling to it. But I think she mentions it a little bit in, I think, today's episode. She mentions the two sides and how as the game continues on, it's going to show more of her cards if these people on each side keep getting knocked out. But I think it is in her best interest. I think she has these conversations with the girls, and she's so tight with Avery and Kayla because they really, I do think that they are the type of people that will bring Spicy along to that end. It's not to say that Anthony won't, but letting, as Anthony says, letting Anthony marinate for too long in there where he can get those numbers around him and that structure that he already has without even honestly, I'm sure he's doing a lot. We only have the digital dailies, but it feels like he's just existing, and he has this kingdom around him, and he just brings that aura and energy automatically into the game, right? So it's when you're going toe to toe with a player like that, and you are a player like Spicy, and you're known to be a little bit more quirky and out there and you don't want people to view that as something that can be walked over in that sense. So you have to make sure that you have those numbers in your corner. And I think keeping people like Kayla and Avery would have been or is so beneficial for her, and knocking out where it's not, she's not doing it directly, but it's in she's doing it indirectly, but it's directly impacting Anthony's structure. You need that, even if you are loyal to this final two situation. You can't have an Anthony with his army, because Anthony on his own is already a fighting shot there. So it's Anthony with his army, it's
it's too much.
It's just for jury management. Now that he's coming in and he understands jury management, it's lethal when you go the whole way with somebody like that. It's good in the sense of he's always going to be looked at somewhat as a target, and you can if you really were in hot water and your ass was on the line, then maybe you could be look, he has such a good game, he's going to do this, and he made it. I don't know what I'm doing. And I think she could play that up, but you can't, if he has Tola and those people still in the game, they're going to ride out. Anthony's riding so hard for Tola, and there's a reason. We don't see the full extent of it because Tola isn't shown as much, but Tola's going to ride for Anthony. Matt is going to ride for Anthony. Lexus is going to ride for Anthony. So it's he already has the numbers stacking up there, and Spicy's been kicking out the people that would have always had numbers for her, like Janine and Donna.
Right.
So
and she says this when they're in the game.
Pardon?
I was just gonna say I don't get with Spicy because she says this while they're in the house. Like this entire week, she's been saying it. She said it with Donna, but then when they evicted, she's like, "Well, you were coming for Anthony," and I just hope that she doesn't keep this mindset because, especially if you're saying in the goodbye messages pre-jury, are you going to tell jurors that they're leaving because they went after Anthony? Like I'm just, she keeps saying it as if she's going to make the switch, but I'm just like, when are you going to actually make the switch? Because saying it and doing it are two different things.
Because she's also building up his game. Like we haven't hit jury yet, so it doesn't really matter in the goodbye videos. But when you're saying things like I have a final 2 with Anthony and I had to protect that, I think she's doing it to show her loyalty, which is one side. But then it's like, oh wait, in their head, everybody knows that at one point in time they wanted or thought of going after Anthony, even if it was in the first few weeks. So it's like they're going to think that that's more of an Anthony move than it is a V, because for the longest time, Spicy was actually in a good position where all this information was flowing to her and like people took her word as Bible. So like when you come, you're like this like sporadic kind of player and people are still taking your word and they want to ride for you, like run with that as much as you can while saving face and still like the other side. But I think she's sweating. I think this week she's sweating. We can see her talking about it in the episodes of like, you know, the numbers are getting crunched and it's like my cards are gonna have to flip soon. And it's like, but even her going like and almost winning an HOH again, I'm like, what's this? What are we doing here? And she's like, I almost won that. Did you see it? But she's like hilarious. I think like if she can pull up her loose strings, it might be beneficial. But then again, like Kayla was popping off this week, so like that could put more like attention on her. Lexus is true. My unbothered queen, you know, she just
it's like Spicy V almost can't help herself. It's like, oh my gosh, she always just reverts kind of back to, you know, Spicy V, and that's cute or whatever, but you gotta lock it in for this game. Like you said, she gotta pull the strings up. But that's what Spicy V is doing, and she kicked all of this off, and now it's causing a lot of people to start looking at Elijah. At first, I was thinking, when Elijah gave Matt and Lexus a lot of this information, I was thinking, what are they going to do with it? Because what happened was Elijah is telling Matt and Lexus, specifically, Spicy V is the one who actually told me that you were planning on, not that he was planning on nominating him, but he was like to Matt that Spicy V was the one who told Elijah that she was willing to nominate Matt and Lexus next week. And that is what Spicy V said. And he let them know that. And he let Lexus know that. And when they got that information, I was wondering, what are they going to do about this? But we see the next scene on the digital dailies. It's them telling Spicy V, girl, he up there lying on your name, saying that you said this. We know you didn't say this, girl, hugging her and kissing her.
You have to give Spicy her tens just a little bit, because it's like the fact that she can be this cracks and spread all of this information, it gets back to her. Like straight out, he said Spicy V said these things. It is not even being questioned.
Her social game in there is like, honestly, I mean, I feel like it gets kind of clouded sometimes because she's so back and forth and like we're getting caught up in all like the main points. But I think she has a great social game. Like, I don't think anyone has ever even looked at her and said, Spicy needs to go up on the block. And I said, like, at the beginning, I forget who I was talking to about, like, the beginning of the season. I'm like, you know, there's pros and cons in being, like, the all-star with someone like Dougie, because it's, like, he has such, like, this big, like, calm, collected, like, stoic, like, king-like energy. And she's just, like, la, 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 like, like, as much as, like, people are going to look at, like, that, like, more of Dougie's energy as being something more threatening than somebody like Victoria, who's, like, I'm here for a good time. Like, I know I'm not going to win. Like, but she's still somehow, like, she's not talked about in, like, a threatening way. And I think for as crazy as she's been playing, and I mean that in like for as like she's just as wishy-washy and all over the place she's been, like her social game has not been like touched as of yet, like in terms of like you know, it coming back to her and it falling apart, or people finally, like, no one has ever been like question if Spicy has said something. They're like, Spicy, look what they said that you said. And everybody knows how her personality is too, and how quickly she can, like, you know, flip her like energies and stuff like that. So I'm surprised no one has been like, Spicy, did you say that? But they're coming to her and being like, Spicy, that like look what they said. And she's like,
exactly
herself too, right? Like she's getting so caught up in these lies that she believes it to be the reality. So she's like, how dare you say that? And then it's like, and then she'll go and sit down and she's like, I don't know if I have it in me for another week. Like,
yeah,
she's so iconic for that. And I think honestly, I see her doing well for that reason. But I think obviously as the numbers get crunched, you can't do that type of strategy. I don't even know
for the long term
what she's doing, but like she's just, glad to be there.
It's not gonna work for the long. Well, I don't know, but I just feel like for the long term game, it's gonna be hard. Especially because even here in this situation, I mean, Elijah is feeling some type of way about her. The reason he told Matt and Lexus is because he feels like I just got played by these three girls, by Avery, Kayla, and Spicy V. They just played me, so I need to tell this information to Matt and Lexus. Matt and Lexus, they let Spicy V and them know. And Spicy V and them genuinely were going to target Matt and Lexus. They were actually talking about this, but after Matt and Lexus go back and tell them the information, their flip switches to Elijah is the one we got to go. So actually, we're leaving this week with a lot of them looking towards Elijah. It's a lot of Elijah is this big problem, and he's going around saying all this stuff. Now Matt, Lexus, and the three girls who were kind of going against each other, well, they were going against them, are now all on the same accord that Elijah is a big problem. He might need to go next. And then we see on the Anthony side of things that Anthony, Vivek, some of the boys, they've talked about targeting Bayleigh coming up soon. So that's kind of what we're leading into this next week, honestly.
Right.
But
I think it's gonna get
not bad.
Yes,
I
it's not.
Like again, this is what I find so fascinating. I'm going back to Spicy for this reason because I think she's at the heart of all this. Obviously,
she really is.
Like, there is a very, very silver, like thin, non-existent line that, like, if you cross it, it's like it can either like blow up or like work out, and somehow it's just working out for her every single time. Like she said this thing about, and Spicy has been saying things about Lexus for weeks. Like this isn't she's had her eye on Lexus for whatever reason, and she's like, she'll go in and then she stirs up all this stuff, and then it's like now she was on the like off end or outs with like Matt and Lexus, but this is actually going to build trust. This is going to, if they can get a common goal out and they get Elijah out, which isn't like even like a hard move per se to do, like they're going to be able to do it if whoever wins HOH is just like an easy thing to do. Then it's like they're building trust. Now Lexus can feel maybe like she can trust the girls again. Like this helps somewhat the girls a bit. I don't see Lexus like ditching Matt entirely.
Right.
So, but I think it does help like in terms of like someone like Bayleigh, which I love me some Bayleigh, I don't know what but I love me some Bayleigh. And it's just like that could potentially help relationships on that front. And then it can build more of like that girls alliance that is no longer a thing, to the point that Victoria can maybe find her footing again if she doesn't like shake it up too much and like stay with this. But I think for someone like Spicy or like Victoria in general, she doesn't want like the stagnant, like she could have the most beautiful like gameplay ever, and she's gonna just rock shit up because she's like,
she don't want it. She's bored. Literally.
I don't care. Shake it up. Something else.
I will say, if she wins playing like this, that will be like an iconic win. Like
this is what I'm saying. Like I can actually see her. Like I don't want to jinx it, but I can see her get it just because of the way. I don't just look at when Spicy's spiraling or doing what Spicy's doing. I'm not looking at her in this moment. I'm looking at everyone else around her and how people are reacting to this. And I have not seen it bite her in the butt as of yet. And there's been way more people where this could like get out and like blah, 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 and people can talk. Granted, when things are like smaller, like it could be easier or whatever. But I don't know. I just think it's something so funny to me that it's like, if that girl lands in final two and wins, like I just think it like she wouldn't even be able to explain it, her gameplay. I think at that point it would be so like
Too much has happened.
Like no one could repeat that. Like that iconic in its own sense, right? Whatever that means. And I think for a season like this would be kind of fun, but I'm also rooting for the newbies a little bit too, you know. I like them.
I would root for them more. I just wish they were just a stronger opposition. Like they are so scrambled that like I don't think there's any way Anthony or Spicy or at least someone in the hot chocolate don't win. But I think that's
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really what's going to be.
Those bios, I was like, working.
Yeah.
Right.
They're eating something. I just don't know what. It's.
No, I think like Kayla. I think like Kayla still have a chance. I think Avery may still have a chance just because they're so close to the Anthony power structure of it all. But I think that's what's going to get caught up with Spicy. It's like either she's going to get to a point because I think they're trying to set up this like sides thing, which in a way it is kind of true. Like Lexus, Matt, Tola, Vivek to an extent are Anthony pieces in the sense of like they won't target Anthony, Matt, Lexus. They'll target Avery, Kayla when we get to a certain point. Yeah. And they're running out of people. Like if Todd goes this week, which I just genuinely think he is because that's what Anthony wants, then they are running out of people. If Bayleigh goes or doesn't win an HOH, then it's like you have no one to take out Matt. You have no one to take out Tola. And then Tola and Matt can win and take out them. And I can see how Spicy won't be touched really, but losing Kayla, losing Avery, it's just like I don't know how she gets to the end because like unless that like is truly Anthony's goal. Like if Anthony's goal is to just sit next to the end with her, then you know I think that'd be really good because she does keep submitting to his power a little bit. And I think if Todd goes this week, that's another example. If that happens, it's like okay. She can get to the end, but it's like, do you beat Anthony at this point? I don't know. Because, like, especially if she's telling people I'm doing this for Anthony, I've been working with Anthony, like, they're just going to assume it's Anthony.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I liked them as a duo, but I don't see the end game for them as a duo just because even, like, competition wise, like I think the one thing that like I'm gonna give like kudos to like the newbies is they've been like crushing the competition.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they have really good, you know, coming from the comp beast herself. Those comps are not easy, and so I give like they really look like they have like good control in it and things like that. And I think that's something that always like I mean Anthony has been saying he's throwing them now but I know like from his season like he again like it wasn't like his forte on some of them like maybe now like coming back and having a second go it could be different, but I just think like somebody like let's say Anthony keeps like Tola and Matt around and like they're winning like these comps for him. It's like eventually you're gonna get to the point that they're gonna take the shot at Spicy, and I don't know like as I mean maybe Anthony could. I mean like I wouldn't underestimate him in that fact of being able to like convince them to like save Spicy and why it would be so good. But I think like when you get down to like that end part,
end game,
it's like and you see that end line like so close, it's like maybe someone like Matt, like yeah, I think Matt for sure would cut Spicy before Lexus, and like Lexus can hold her comps, and like so there's all these different factors that I think for them to like get to that end part, like even just strategically and competition wise, like I think socially they could do it, but I don't know if the comps are gonna like pull through on that end. But I don't know, like these people have just been like taking their brains out and saying yes, Dougie, like
so it literally might happen.
I'm like, you know, I would like I don't the only you know person in there that I mean Kayla has picked up a little bit of traction this week, and that's why I really like me some Kayla this week too. I think she's like but you know what, there's a trend in this season that they call the things out and they're saying like, you know, like Elijah did the thing of like I'm being used as a pawn, no one gives a shit. Like, Kayla's doing the same thing now, but it's like they fail to get the act like bring it into reality. Like I know you're talking about it in the DR, but like where is the like substance in the house? So I don't know. I think the only person that, you know, which is why I think she's like being talked as a backdoor because like Anthony is like putting it around, and I think the dynamic of their relationship is hilarious. But Bayleigh is, you know what? I think she's a queen. I think she like
that's the honorary girly pop.
She would have been. Let me tell you, I would have been like, Bayleigh, hold back and attack right there. Like, like she's a powerhouse all on her own, but I mean, she is like a little more on the emotional end and things like that. But when she sits down and she has like talks like with Vivek, or she sits down and talks with Elijah, like she actually can talk well. Like she can maneuver those conversations well, I find. But you know, sometimes she does.
See, we gotta talk about Bayleigh because
but like
we gotta.
I just feel like she like give that girl like a little taste of power. She's gonna flip that.
It's gonna be over.
She's gonna be
See,
like,
but if she can get there though, because literally this vote would have been very, very interesting, because it seemed like it could have came down to 4 votes on Tola, 4 votes on Todd, the way that the 4 girls all want to vote to save Todd, and then everyone else and Lexus want to vote to save Tola at this moment. So it could have been a very, very interesting vote. But then at the end of the episode, we got the little flash of Tola finding the executive veto. So there's a potential that
he find it himself though, or someone else found it, because the glass was crashed. So I have questions. I have questions.
That's T.
I thought it was crashed, but it's still in there. It wasn't in there.
It was like I don't think it was. It was not in the thing. It was not in the.
Damn it! I was like that. No, she's gone. So
it was not a thing. I was thinking. I was thinking either someone else may have gotten it, or he saw that was like that, and then it was like the beginning of the hunt to actually look for it, and then he was able to find it before anyone else could. Because didn't JC Lynn find her veto like somewhere in the house or something like that?
They sent them back in. I remember this from JC Lynn's season, because I remember where they hid this little like note thing that led to the secret veto. So they were like in the backyard, and then they let them back into the house. And then they all started looking around kind of thing. And she went into a flower pot, and in the flower, there was like a little rolled piece of paper. I remember being like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I would have freaking found that. And that led to one of the doors. And that she did the puzzle and then solved it for the secret veto thing. But I think like, I don't know, because the way that Tola reacted, and with like the toothbrush in his mouth, and he was kind of like that, like he didn't have it and hide it. Like with JC, it's like, she kind of looked and like put it in her pants, and like, I don't know, we don't have the episode, but I mean I really have a question for you guys, because I'm just personally interested to like hear your answers on this. Like your top person that you want to have the exact veto, and like the last person you want to see to have that veto. Like what are you?
No shade, but last it gotta be spicy. I'm sorry, I don't need spicy with that damn veto. You don't need it.
I actually agree with that.
I don't trust her at all. Because I just feel like I'm trying to think like, what is it going to be? Like in my mind, I'm thinking, is it a coupe? Is it a diamond power veto? I don't need her to use it and put Lexus and Matt up, put Matt and I don't need it. And most would be Lexus, just because I like her a lot. Lexus are like Kayla. Like I just want one of the newbies to have that type of power, not one of the returnees.
For sure.
Me personally, I want Tola to have it because I love Tola, and he's just so wonderful. And
he's a Tola stan, girl.
Amazing. And Tola cannot go home this week, and because the vote is so close, I need Tola to have that executive veto, and he needs to have the executive decision to send Spicy V out of the game. No, I'm playing. But no, I do want Tola. I don't know if I'm playing. I do want Tola to have it. It might be potential because people were saying on the last DD, they were acting like he was seeming sick. They were like, why does Tola feel so comfortable? And why does Tola see that? So that was one of the reasons I was like, okay, people are commenting. I think Todd was commenting on Tola feeling comfortable and stuff. And it's like, if he's saying that, maybe Tola is having a less panicky state, and maybe he does have something. So it's interesting. And I also was like, I feel like everybody else no one would be able to stop talking about it. No shade to the 3 girls, but if one of them have it, I feel like there wouldn't be one conversation they could edit without them bringing it up. No shade. So sure. I don't know
how it works if like they can't bring, because I remember JC Lynn wasn't able to bring it up because she was
true.
trying to tell like Gino, and she's like, so what do you want to do this week? And he's like, why don't we just keep it the same? And she's like, but what do you want? So I don't know if it's going to be like one of those situations. The thing, listen, I just feel like Tola hasn't done anything for me this season. He just feels like
I support. I agree.
An accent. in
A
some
pretty face, some
Getting-
might say.
I don't, I just listen. But the one thing that I did see of himself this episode that I always have to like point out things that I like start to like to see, because there were some players like Todd, Tola, and Elijah. You could have asked me like who are those people in the season. I would have been like,
I don't know actually.
I feel like I don't know. I just feel like that was. I don't know. I just feel like they just weren't doing anything. But then, like, seeing a little bit more of Todd and like his humor and stuff, I feel like he's kind of and he's kind of fun. And I mean, is it enough to keep him around the house? Like, probably not. Like, but I'm just like, how does someone like? He's like, so today I'm playing a competition, and we have to suck these things. I was like, DR is probably like. Can you say that?
A little faster, please.
But Tola, what I liked of this episode, which I think we haven't seen in a while, with like HOHs in terms of like actually going back to the HOH and being like, why are you doing this? Because I think people like, dance around that conversation. I really liked him going back and being like, but a lot like, how does this make sense, Elijah? Like, explain to me like how this works, because I don't feel like 100% about this. But I think he's also been playing like up this fact and like sitting in this position of like he knows that a lot of people like maybe like have had like his name in their mouths or like have intended to target him at some point. So he knows that he brings some value to the table in the sense of like there is a possibility that I will always go before you, which is also why like Anthony probably keeps him around as well, because it's like this is someone who's going to ride for me, and also like if he rocks the boat, like he's someone that will always go before me kind of thing. So I think he like really like owns that position without being like labeling himself as it. So I think like he's been doing that well, but other than that, that's me just completely narrating his own game because DR time. I have not seen it. Has he even been in the DR? Like, I don't know.
You know what? We can get into it. We can get into it in the ratings. Let's pull up the player ratings actually. Shout out to Dale C in the chat.
I was just gonna say that. Not Renee being the best queen for me.
I just had to say it. This week was too much for me. I had to share some thoughts.
Period. All right, boom. So Renee, we're gonna get into these player ratings. We give 0 through 10. We love zeros over here. So if you want to give something a 0, definitely do it. You can do 0.5s if you want to, because we like to be a little festive. So 1.5, 0.5, whatever. Boom. So we're gonna start with Dinis. He was already evicted, so we're gonna rate him based on his whole game, which was the whole 3 weeks. No shade. So we're gonna rate him on the whole game that he played, and then everyone else we're just gonna rate based on the current game because they're still playing. So let's start with Dinis. How are you feeling about Dinis as a player, Renee?
I love Dinis. I think he could have like made some waves in the house, and he really had that energy there. I have to give him, I'm going to really aim high for this one just because I really loved his energy in the pool room and like how he was just going in there after Vivek. I'm going to give him a 7 for that one, but that is based off of that conversation and that conversation alone. But 2 POV wins in 3 weeks. I was there for 10 and I didn't get 2. I didn't even get so I'll give him a 7 for that one. But I loved his energy. I think he could have done a lot there, and it sucked to see him go like that way.
Yeah, I love Dinis too. Honestly, I feel like he had a lot of potential as a player. I like that he was one of the only people to have kind of Anthony, not just Anthony, like a little bit of the structure clock on that other side. He was trying to get Vivek to be on the side. He also kind of got taken out over some bullshit. So I liked a lot of the qualities, but there were some things I was like, okay, did you have to win both the vetoes? Did you have to just blatantly not talk to Anthony for 2 days? Like there's a lot of qualities I feel like he had that it was like, okay, you might have stepped a little too far in Dinis' world, and I didn't like that. So I think I would land on and Renee, I know this is your boy. I'm gonna land on like a 4.5 for Dinis, and it's no shade. It's no.
Yeah, you know what? I see what you're saying with that, but you know what? It's just like the way he was like, Anthony, I'm not talking to you right now. I'm like,
yeah.
No. So I was like, you know what? For that, I have to give you a bonus.
No, like I feel so bad for Dinis. Like he does not deserve to go home. I really hate the fact that Vivek is walking around the house quiet as a church mouse after he just took out motherfucking Dinis.
We gonna get into him.
Says, wait till we get
Right.
But I feel so bad for Dinis. I think that he had a lot of potential as a player. He had the other side clock. I just think, quite literally, there was no chance for people who were choosing to go against Victoria or Anthony in this game. Like, your days are numbered once that happens. Goose is going to be out of here. Vivek, I mean, they still looking at you, baby. Bayleigh, girl, your days are numbered. Like, there's no way you're going to win this game talking about targeting Anthony and Victoria, especially when you say it to people that you say it to Victoria or you say it around Victoria's friends. It's like, all of that is going to go back to Anthony. And I just feel like, unfortunately, Dinis had to go against one of the best in Big Brother Canada, Big Brother history in general. So it's like, that's really unfortunate. I feel like I would go with the 5. I did the same with Donna. It's like, girl, I mean, you shouldn't even been taken out last week. So, like,
I feel like the players that we've seen go, like, I mean, Dinis specifically, the reason why I was like extra upset to see him go is just because I was like, if he just had like a week, maybe even a few days more in that house, like his campaigning and his ability to like talk to people and even explain to Vivek like so clearly, to have that insight in the house of like, we need to knock out people around Anthony. If you're too scared to take the direct shot, that's like so fair, but we have to weaken him on these sides so that like he was actually able to call that gameplay out. So I just think like we saw so much of him, and obviously if he stayed in the house, I would have had like, there's two sides of it, because it's like I still want to see like the all-stars kind of like do a little bit more in there and like see how they go toe to toe or like how they act when their backs against the wall. And like Vivek would have definitely Dinis would have definitely put them there.
Not Vivek.
But not Vivek. Vivek's not Vivek's actually working against himself at this point. But yeah. So I'm sad, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Vivek is the next one. Oh, sorry, go.
I was just gonna say that's really why all stars shouldn't play with newbies. Like, they just shouldn't, because they just have such a one-up on how to play this game. Like, if you notice, once these newbies become targets, there's nothing they can do because of how Anthony and Victoria have the game wrapped up. It's like, it's a lot of like misinformation or just straight up lies or just straight up like, it's like they're like the plague to the house. Like, we don't want to be associated with you. We're not going to vote with you. And I think it's because of the way Anthony and Victoria play. It's like, if these was new players, I feel like it would just have a little bit more wiggle room, and they don't.
And that's the thing that makes it really hard for them in their season. Like, I think that there's two sides of it, of like, there's way less all-stars. So like, there's an ability, like there is like a chance to like overthrow them. And I know that they were all talking at the beginning. They're like, there's all-stars coming in, we gotta take them out. That was gone really quick, because the thing about all-stars, I feel like, or like of what I've seen just of like the glimpses that we've gotten, is, and even like thinking in my own head, like, if you would go back, like how would you play different? Like, you're playing ruthlessly. You're not coming back as like the player of like, I'm scared to like say this because it might backfire in this way. Like, you're reading the room, you're getting that information, and then you're gunning for it. Like, the second Dougie stepped into that like house, he was like, this is what we're doing, this is what we got, blah blah blah. I'm on business, I'm standing on business, and I'm staying on top of it. So you come with a different energy. Like, when you're coming in as a new player, kind of like, I remember, I'll never forget this, because I was like, there is no friggin' way I'm having this conversation 30 seconds into the house. I walked into the house and Ty's like, so who we getting now? And I'm like,
oh,
hello? What happened to hello? How are you?
I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I just need to like enjoy myself. I'm like drinking. Like, I just need a second to breathe. Like, let me feel out who's here. I don't even know.
What's your last name? Like,
right.
It's that type of energy. Like, if I want to now, it's like, I don't even care what your name is. I'm gonna read your energy, and if it's not matching with mine, you're out the door. I'm like,
you gotta go.
But so I think you come back like more of like this ruthless player, and with new players, it's really hard to navigate, because you're still in this mindset of like, oh, like, are they lying? Is there this? Like, you have to just assume like they're lying, they're not being this, unless it's like your people, right? So I don't know. I don't know. There is still a little bit of hope, but I don't know. I think all the newbies are wrapped around Victoria's. They're either swept up in Victoria's tornado, or they're wrapped around Dougie's finger. Or
you literally.
or hear me out. Victoria is sweeping them into Dougie's. They work together. Like, I don't know. Like, I have to like those poor babies in there. I just want to give them a hug, you know.
I really do feel bad for him. Like it's
Oh,
embarrassing. It really
Lord.
is embarrassing.
You spilling that tea. Next we have Vivek, whom we gave a 0 last week. Now, I was thinking, like, what am I going to do about this? And I think I thought enough because Vivek made a horrible move by taking out his only ally in the game. He now has 0 allies. We see this week on the DDs, he's talking to a bunch of people who don't care about what he's talking about. Truly, he thinks he's in an alliance who hasn't talked to him all week. He is thinking he's good when he is going to be out of the door soon. He's not anyone's immediate target, but that doesn't really mean anything. It reminds me of a lot of situations when you get a person taking out someone who is their ally. It happened with Fessy and Scotty. It happened back in the day with Howie and James Ryan. In every situation, the person who took the shot and the person who the shot was taken out are now null and void in the game. Fessy was going to go home and Scotty was going to go home eventually, even though they both stayed in the game after that situation. Howie and James both stayed in the game and they were both eventually going to just go home. Dinis done went home. Vivek, you're just eventually going to go home. There's really no success because after you make that big, huge, stupid move, you're taken out of the game. You're not a contender. You're not really involved. And that's what's happened to Vivek. He's not involved in anything. No one's talking about him in their plans, in their in-game plans, in their short-term plans, nothing. He's just going to go home eventually. He may have lasted an extra week. Congratulations. You're going to get an extra 0. And you're going to get an extra 0. And you're going to get an extra 0.
You keep him
at
0?
I'm going to keep him at 0. He's not winning the game.
The one, he's not. He's not. That's for sure. The second, you know what? I didn't have high hopes for this man, but when he got H2H, I was like, you know what? He's calling out some things on the DR that I was like, if he just like followed like what he's saying, he could potentially like do something really well. He flopped. Big L. I don't even know. It wasn't even. He like bobsledded down to like the friggin' like black hole of like just worst players. He said, I'm gonna compete for the worst player and I'm gonna go for it. But I think the only thing that I could say maybe that's in his favor that might push him that one extra week over to be like, you know, I made it at least 4 weeks, whatever. Elijah, with the heat that he's gotten, like maybe can like volunteer to replace his spot as like the pawn bench warmer or whatever, because it's like someone needs to fill that spot. And it's like, oh yeah, just always throw Vivek up there and we don't really care if he goes. And it's like, you know, he could ride out in that sense if Elijah lost his privilege of being the pawn, because before he saw it as a bad thing, but now after this week, he's probably going to be begging to be the pawn to stay into the game at that point. So that's the only thing. But honestly, that boy is going to need a lot of therapy. I'm going to send him my therapist, my poor Vivek over there, because they have done a number on that man. And let me tell you, he just like, it was the way he nominated him and then was like, I'm so like, you did it.
I can't.
Oh, please.
And now he's just like nowhere to be seen. Like, actually, where was he this week? I didn't see him. Did he like
nowhere? Daniel says Vivek is good for a few weeks. Daniel, I agree, and he's going to be a 0 for a few weeks.
But Daniel, you also said that Dinis was going to last for a few weeks, baby.
Oh,
it's no shade.
If y'all want to rewind and go watch when Daniel was on. Daniel was saying a lot of things.
Oh my God, me and Daniel have to get on with you guys because the way me and Daniel fight about the game is hilarious. Anyways, but yeah, no, I do agree with Daniel that Vivek will last a couple more weeks if he takes that like pawn seat, because they'll feel bad. But it's just out of pity of feeling bad of like,
it's pity. You're never going to win.
That's a horrible decision that if he sent you out right after, like you'd actually need to like, you know, get some actual like
therapy. You would have to send him out there.
I don't know, a month, a year. Like he's gonna need, like when he comes out of that house and sees how everybody just like literally pulled a number on him. They didn't even pull magic. They just said, Vivek, like, you can't do this wrong. He's like, yeah, like I gotta ride with people. Like, who's your people? You sent your people out. Like, where are they? So it's just, I don't know. I don't love his gameplay. You know what? Because he needs a lot of like help, I'm gonna give him a 1, just because I feel like he needs some
part. He needs that
he needs a little sympathy, and I feel for him, but not for sending Dinis out.
That one is a pillar of support. That's a backbone. No shade.
Yeah. He can consider that. Yeah, he can consider that just a little bit of something he needs to stand on. That's the shred of dignity he'll have left in the house, because I'm telling you, he's gonna come out and be like,
it's truly no shade. I actually do like Vivek. He's beautiful, man.
I think
Lee, how you feeling?
I think he's so sweet.
I mean,
he cried, like he was crying over his family and things. Like, I think he's actually
he's cute.
someone who cares about people, and he wanted to make the move out of his care for people.
Yep,
Right.
I agree.
Like, he's just not seeing like how badly he actually like. I think he was like weighing the numbers of like, I have to please. Like, he seems like a people pleaser. I do get that. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm pleasing like at least 6 people.
Right.
And like, I just so happened to like go after that one, but that one was the one that saved you the last week. So it's like, that's the one you should be like, yeah, I'm gonna give him a 1. You know, he needs some help. He needs just help.
I hate
so be in there with him. Help him out, Daniel.
Right.
Put him in there. Daniel, sprinkle a little bit of that magic on there. Like Vivek,
when he was in Final 3.
101, we do not send our people out the door. That's step 1, and then
period
for him. Thank you.
Lee,
I like that he is like backing up a little bit. Like, I feel like him not being involved in the mess is a little bit intentional. But like, I mean, basically, like you said, like at the end of the day, like, he's not really a contender. Like, they're not going to take him any seriously. I think he could last for a few weeks. I honestly do agree with Daniel with that, because I think that he's so dumb that they're just not going to worry about it. They are just going to let him continue in the game. But even now, they're talking about nominating him next to Goose. Like, it doesn't take much to just switch it and be like, well, Vivek can go. I think it's always going to be that thing of like, Vivek can go. Now,
I don't know.
I like the scary
someone else, but not for him.
I feel like the thing is, like, I almost don't want to cut him out fully, only because I feel like I did that with Ty. I feel like I did that with Jag, and then they won 50 million competitions and won the game. So I'm just like, I mean, could it be a situation where they leave him in the game so long and he just starts winning and kind of maneuvers his way to the end that way? I mean, I don't know, but I would hate it, because like, he did something so stupid. He just doesn't deserve it. Like, I wish he was going home this week. But I feel like the fact that he isn't, and the fact that like he's not necessarily just like the next target, I'll give it a 2.
Period.
But,
yeah, I do agree. I feel like he could. I don't think he's out of the game. Actually, like, I feel like because specifically Big Brother Canada is such an unexpected game, that because of the quantum mechanics of this game, he definitely could end up winning, but his gameplay wouldn't be deserving of the win regardless. No shade. That's just that on that. And I do, Ty is a good example, but the Ty's a good example, and it was around this week that I was like, damn, Ty ain't gonna win the game. But at the time, Ty was the score we were giving him, which was a 2, and at the time, Vivek is a 0 for me.
Yeah.
Now, when it changes, it's gonna change, and I'm gonna change my score.
I think Vivek, though, is so actually driven by his emotions that's where he's gonna like. I don't know if he's gonna go through like a Ty in that sense. Like, I think Ty was on the outs with the game, or like in the opposition of it, because he was just like, this is actually what's going to help my game, when there was actually like a girl's narrative going on. So he was right to think that, but like Vivek is actually doing moves like against his game. If there's one thing like Ty was protecting at the end of the day, it was Ty's game. And it's like, look at a player and be like, that person can't even protect their own game. Like, there's one thing to be able to look at somebody, because it's like, you know, I could say anything in that house and nothing was going to happen with the words that I was saying, but it's like, I was still trying to protect my game at the end of the day to move through those weeks. And it's like, when you're not even doing that, and someone can look at you and be like, so you sent, like, there's just things because of his emotion. I do think, like, I did roast my poor little Vivek there, so I'm gonna give him a little bit of like flack of like, he has a great heart. Like, I can see he's not a bad person. This isn't anything against him as a person, which I think like he's probably a great person, but game wise, it's like, boy, who you were like clocking it on the dot in these digitals, and then you got the power and you said, bye Dinis, And he just like, there's just like so many reasons for that. Like I still have a chip on my shoulder from that because it's like there's so many reasons that you
let's not just drag this man. Hold on.
You could have literally been like, well, you know,
but literally though.
He saved me last week, so he is not an option to go up.
Yes.
Like, there's no other option.
And he said it at first, and then he stopped saying it. What happened? Hello?
Like
the same.
There's just things out of etiquette that you do, and it's like you know, literally. Like if your hand was absolutely forced, like, listen, you know, I got some heat for putting Koozie on the block, but it wasn't my first choice. Let me tell you something. It wasn't my first choice.
You hurt me, Renee. You hurt me with that one, Renee. You did. I'm not even gonna lie, girl.
You weren't my favorite girly pop that week. I was like, hold on.
I had a goal that week. I said, you know what? This is gonna be the final knife in Ty's coffin, okay? Because man was, you know, trying to get me out at one point. So I was like, we're gonna get him out. And I told Koozie I wouldn't put you up on the block originally, but it's like when you're left with Koozie, Anika, and Daniel, it's like it's one of the
and it ain't no shade to the other two, but the queen was the queen, and you and period. I know that's right.
Well, yeah, it was actually between, which Daniel like isn't gonna love this either. It was between Daniel and Koozie, like toggling off. But it's like when Daniel comes and pitches to you, and he's like, you know, like I just like love being here. It's like I love you here too.
And he was playing you.
He was playing you.
Daniel was playing the girls. I know that's right.
Daniel the whole world, and then so everybody knew if that man gets to that end, it's like, see ya. I would not sit in final two with Daniel. That's just for sure. Love you, Mike.
You know, period. You know what, Lee? Because this is in order from who we had bottom to top last ranking. And Elijah is next. And honestly, we had his shit clocked because he definitely is next to last. Because at the beginning of this week, I was like, okay, Elijah, you eating it. And you know, we talked a lot about Elijah, so I'm going to just zoom through it. I thought he was eating it up. He clearly wasn't. He done got all the girls targeting him this week. They was targeting him last week. He was in the directors. They don't give a fuck about the directors. Elijah got to go. He's the next target. He talks to people in backwards sentences, and it's only 3 seconds. Somebody walk in the room. Oh, you're going up, by the way. What? Okay, so I just can't. I can't with Elijah. He's not that girl. I gave him a 2 last week. I'm going to give him a 0.5. This
girl, you so harsh.
I'm going to give him a 0.5.
I guess I'd have to go 0.52. I would give him a 0.75, but I don't think I can do that. So 0.5 for me because he had the potential. I loved but he brought negative light on himself this week. Vivek flew under the radar, so for that I would give him a 0.5 higher. And you know what? It gives him a little like I don't even know. I don't know what Elijah's going to do for himself. I don't know.
Vivek really did play better than him. I might need to put Vivek. I'm gonna just leave it. Lee, how you feeling?
I mean, it's a bunch of flops. This whole bottom 4 flops down. So
not my man.
Girl, he the main flop.
Not Todd.
We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it.
Not Todd and Tola defenders. I'm sick of both of y'all. Both of y'all gotta.
Tola's like okay, yeah. Tola
no, Todd is like okay, yeah. Tola is that girl. You know what? I'm not gonna do this with you, Renee. Lee, what you giving Elijah?
Tola would have literally had if I was playing with Tola.
We're not on Tola yet. Hold on. Lee, what you giving Elijah? Because she finna try to get my man.
Wait. So I can give Elijah 1. I'll give Elijah 1. Terrible HOH week. I mean, you was HOH. Like Renee took out the queen, and you taking out who?
Right. You know what? I will say because Vivek didn't play worse than Elijah, I can't give him higher than Vivek. So I'm just gonna give Elijah the 0. Because he can't be higher than Vivek. And I'm not giving him any, I'm just not doing it. So they both are 0s. Next is my man Tola. Renee, you have the floor. What's
listen, I get that this is your man. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. So tread carefully.
But your man is not doing shit in that house. Let me tell you. This man, what has he done? Okay, he's maybe got if he got the exact veto and he's doing something next week with it and he like shakes it up, I will be the first one to be like, my apologies, whatever. But I just feel like
I will be DMing you. for not apologizing.
I'll be hopping right back into the comments. But I feel like after 4 weeks of like, or 3 weeks of playing, like, I just like, what have I like generally like pitch Tola to me? Like, what has he done?
Oh
that
my God.
It's like, wow. Wow.
Well, okay. You know what? I will pitch him, and I will also pitch us, because in my exit interview with Dinis that does come every Thursday, I do exit interviews with the evicted house guest. Dinis let me know the exclusive tea, which was that according to Dinis, which I mean, he was the third out, so we never really take it with a grain. But according to Dinis, Tola was his dark horse. He said Tola actually improved on his social game. Tola had a lot more conversations with him. Dinis said he was going to protect Tola. So something's happening. I blame the editors of the digital. Stop capping. He ain't doing nothing for real. I ain't gonna lie. He ain't doing nothing for real. He not.
Okay, wait. But let me say, I want to put a disclaimer for 2 seconds to be like, I love the personalities of this cast and them as people. I that is like a whole separate thing. I'm just talking game wise. Tola, like, I feel like Tola, like, I've seen glimpses of him that I'm like, oh, I kind of like, I like his story and his background. He gave a little bit of like how he came to Canada and all, or how his parents came to Canada. And I thought that was like super touching, but game wise, it does like nothing to me. Like, what touches me in the real world, I'm like, okay, and what are you doing? So I don't know what he's done. I think he's useful, but I think he's maybe sitting in that pocket of like, oh, people view me as useful because I can get thrown up, or because I'm a target, or because I can gun for a veto. But I just feel like if he went into the house and said, or if you can't convince Elijah to get you off of the block, like, when this is like the
most easily convinced person, no shade.
What are you doing? And Todd doesn't even put up a fight. Like, this is like your thing to try to like, that's why I said I liked that he went back and questioned it, but it's like, push that a bit more. Like, Todd is not fighting. Todd doesn't even know what a backdoor is. He's not fighting for his life here in the same way. So it's like, go in, say your stuff, say your piece, and like, I don't know. I feel like we could have just seen a bit more of him, even though he was on the block. Like, I felt like he just didn't have.
Hold on. Okay, what's the score? Because you just dragging. I'll give him
a 5. I'll give him a 5.
Period.
I don't think he's terribly placed. I think like if you have someone like Dougie riding for you, you're sitting good in the house. But I just feel like game wise, like, he's not. What is he doing for me? Then just, I don't know. What is he doing?
So you gonna give Tola his chance, and that's your man, Pharaoh?
That's my man. Hold on. Is this Miss Ika Wong, or is this not Miss Ika Wong? Hi, Miss Ika Wong. She coming for me. All right. So I will say.
She's saying like, please, like, why are you
like, please, because I'm capping for it.
We're all very confused.
But no,
what he talks about on a day.
Hold on, because I do this every season. I did it with Shania, no shade, because I would stand in Shania, the human, the player, but then I would give Shania low scores, and it was no shade. And this might be what's going to happen again, because I'm a hard grader. You see, I gave 2 zeros so far. So even though this is my man, I'm not feeling it that much. Now, I heard what Dinis said. I do think Tola's improved. I love that he went to Elijah and was like, hold on, you're not going to just put me up, because a lot of other people named Elijah are just happily to sit on the block. No shade. Right. And at least Tola wasn't that. So I do love that for Tola. I love that he has Anthony backing him up. I love that I know he has that executive veto. So he has some power growing. And I do feel like at the beginning, he was useful. It was like, okay, these people can use him. But now I think he might start becoming valuable, because now that the numbers are dwindling, it's less so I can use Tola and more so Tola cannot go. And we kind of saw that this week with Anthony. He was like, hold on. Tola can't go. We need to make sure Bayleigh gets renommed. Matt was like, we need to make sure Bayleigh gets renommed, so it's not Tola. So I think now he's going to have a lot more people riding for him. Even Lexus said in the episode, I need to use this veto on Tola. The only reason she didn't is because she thought her man was getting on the block. So it's like, if he was going to get vetoed by Lexus, it's like, okay, he's going to get vetoed. So I'm going to give my man his not 10. Not 10.
People like around him to like, even like, I don't know, like even Lexus like wanting to use the veto. It's like, if he had like if it's between Matt and Tola, which the numbers are going to get to that point, like Tola is going. Like maybe if we had one other person like riding for him, like other than Anthony, that was like, I don't know, maybe like a Dinis. Like if he stayed in there and was like riding for like a Tola, like that you can build something great off of. Like Tola doesn't really have much left to like. Who's he gonna team up with? Like Elijah, Vivek? Like,
yeah, he doesn't have an alliance. He doesn't have a group of people. There's alliances working. He's not in it.
Those at the top are not gonna like later on. Like they're not riding for him at all. So I just feel like. But you know what? I do like I like that he went back. I like that he has people riding for him. Like that shows something. So for that, I'll give him a 5. But he really does not like. I don't even think I've seen this man in the DR once, and I think that's like a. Seriously.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not even gonna give him the 5. I'm just gonna give him the
4.5.
You could definitely go down. It's nothing because I ain't even finna go.
Sorry.
Because I think I'm just going to give him and you know what? He is technically still on the block. I have a lot of hope that he's not going to be on the block. He is technically on the block and he could still go home this week potentially. I don't think he is, and I'm gonna root for my man. So I'm gonna give him, but because he's on the block, I always give people on the block a little lower. I'm gonna give him a 3.5. I ain't gonna lie.
3.5 is crazy.
I ain't gonna lie. You know, I feel nice. I feel like I've come back from my Elijah.
Yeah,
but see, that's the thing. I'm used to the guests being a little generous. Pharaoh giving Tola 3.5 is just.
He has the executive veto.
He does not have it. We don't know that.
I know what my man got. Don't worry.
Look back at my scores. Okay, I don't even want to see those.
No, Renee, baby. It was bad for you. It was really bad for you. I was rooting for you down. I really wanted better for you.
I tried.
I wanted more. I was like, why are they trying? My good sister Renee. But we ain't gonna get into that. We don't get into that.
You and me both. That's a
But not like with Tola, I just feel like I don't get anything from Tola. I simply do not. I hear what you're saying. I do like the fact that Lexus is looking out for him. Anthony is too. Matt is, but Anthony explicitly says he's doing it because he knows Tola is a target in front of him. He wants to use Tola for everything he has. That's quite literally it. I gave him a 3 last week, and he's nominated this week, so I'm gonna say it's a 2. Like I just feel like.
But even you saying like Lexus and Matt are riding for Tola, like they're riding for Tola insofar as like he's not going after the showman. It's like if Elijah was doing something, Elijah would be in that spot. Like there is nothing distinctive right now. I'm saying right now about Tola's gameplay that's making me be like they're keeping him for being Tola, and that's kind of like what you want in that game. You're being kept for Elijah, for Vivek, for being Bayleigh, not just because they're not coming after me and I'm in a showman. It's like anybody can fill that narrative easily, or like come up to you and be like, oh, I finally had an epiphany, and I'm not going after the showmans. And then Lexus would be like, here's the veto. Like, I just feel like he's not doing, and we're really not seeing much enough. And maybe that's like where the editing comes in, that it's just not doing him, like it's doing him a disservice. But I just don't see like what he's doing in there that I'm like, wow, Tola. Like I have never once thought of Tola.
You know what? Speaking of people who I don't see not doing enough, next is Todd. I don't see much of what Todd is doing, honestly. It's a lot of well, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do next week. I do think
so. You see it for Tola, but you don't see it for Todd.
I don't even see it for Tola.
Oh, okay.
No,
I just like Tola. I do like about Todd is actually I don't like it about Todd because he's aware that Anthony needs to go, but a part of his awareness, I kind of feel like it's because Anthony doesn't really care to make a relationship with Todd. Like Anthony has done a lot of work to make relationships with a lot of other people, and he has them snowed. He hasn't really put that energy to Todd, at least from what we've seen. And Todd is one of the people who doesn't care for him. And I'm not saying, what I'm trying to say is, I don't think Todd doesn't care for Anthony because Todd is this all time, he's like Dinis and Donna, and he's able to see. I kind of just feel like Anthony doesn't talk to Todd. So Todd doesn't want to work with Anthony, and it's no shade to him, but I just feel like, of course he doesn't trust Anthony. Anthony doesn't talk to him. All Todd does is talk to Bayleigh all day, and Bayleigh doesn't trust Anthony. So for me, I kind of feel like, okay, Todd, you're on the right page because of Bayleigh. Good, that's good. But what else? Because you're on the block. You didn't do any fighting to not be on the block. You didn't make any allies to not be on the block. You don't have an alliance. You don't really have anything similar to Tola. I ain't even gonna lie. Tola and him both. Y'all don't have no allies. Y'all don't have no allegiances. The only difference is Tola's main ally is Anthony, and yours is Bayleigh, who is also finna go home. So I feel like the issue with Todd is because he wasn't lucky enough to have proximity to someone like Anthony. So I do see his game a little bit below someone like Tola's because his proximity to the main person isn't as good. So, and he's on the block. I do think he has a slightly better chance of going home because Anthony wants Tola to stay, and the people who want Todd to stay usually don't get what they want, according to these last 3 weeks. So I feel a little less hope for him. I also feel like if Tola does have a veto and he uses it, Todd can be next to Bayleigh. And it's like, that's your closest ally. And I feel like he's kind of just in a stickier situation this week. So I'm going to give him, and what did he do? I like his campaigning. I like that he's rocking with the girls trying to get them to save him. So I like that. I'm going to give him the 2. Give him the 2.
You should have got Tola a 2 too.
Tola is going to stay because Renee, defend your man. Or, well, not your man.
Yeah,
but,
you know what? I don't know that part, but I do like me some Todd. And the reason why I like Todd is his humor. I just think he's like, he has this really, like, it's only started to show in like the later weeks. And I feel like if you're around that more, maybe you'd see it more often. But when I first saw it, he did like some TikTok thing, like before the show even aired, of him like talking to the camera. And I was like, Lord, help that man. Because I was like, is he fully talking to like Canada right now? And he's like, so I'm coming on to the show and this is going to be, I'm happy to be here. And I'm like, what? And so you see his humor now, and he has like that dry sarcasm. So that I do like of him. And I think him writing for the girls, I think he's like one of the first people that like are just, he's tied to Bayleigh, so he's tied to the girls, and maybe it's like Bayleigh and her talking to him all about like girl energy and girl power that he's like fed into this. But he has nothing, like he does not even try to hide the fact that he doesn't even know this game. So he's like sitting there, even running. You know what? The epitome of the week for me was like Elijah telling Todd to go on the block, and this shows two things of both of them: how Elijah has no control or like autonomy in the house to be like, go sit down, and Todd doesn't even know what the frick he's doing, and he's like, so I think even like there could have been conversations with Anthony and Todd, but it's like I can't even imagine how a game conversation would go with Todd, because like Anthony would be like, hey dude, like what do you want to do, like what's your plan in this house, like where do you see your vision, how do you see yourself winning? Todd's like, I like the girls here. Where do you go with that conversation? So I think for that, his game is not the greatest, but I do really like him. Like I like seeing his bits in the show. He gets a little bit more DR time than Tola, so that's why I would give him. I wouldn't give him anything high. I would also give him a 2, just because I feel like he hasn't done anything to like help himself. And even though he's on hot water, I feel like he could have easily gotten himself out, because he's not a person that's like actively going against people. Like he's never sat there and been like, I want these people out, because he literally doesn't even know what he wants in the game. That's a player that you want to keep close to you. Like, if he can compete and he can win, then it's like, hey, this is the strategy you should be going for or whatever. So, but he's not showing that off. So I don't know too.
Yeah.
Sorry, Todd, but I like you. Funny.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with the 2. Also, too, because like it's just like looking at what I got to this point as well. Like he's probably about to go home this week, and I think it is mainly because he really hasn't been involved in too many of the alliances. Like he got caught up in this East Coast thing that wasn't even real. And I think a lot of this has to do with like he's a fan. Not a fan. He's not a fan. He's watched seasons, but like he's not a fan. Like so, I don't think he fully understands just certain things that you have to do in the game of Big Brother. I feel like you see this a lot of times with first-time, non-necessarily fan players. Like they're learning the game. And I think that's kind of what he's in the midst of doing. And this week, especially with him being nominated and fighting for votes, you definitely see how much he's retained. But it's like, I think at this point it's just too far into the season almost. Like the allegiances are kind of set up the way they already are. Like basically for him to stay this week, it would take for Spicy and then the flip on Anthony in the Hot Topics Alliance in a way. And it's like, I don't think they're gonna go out of their way to break a relationship with Anthony to keep Todd. Now, if Todd was involved with him since day one, a little bit more social and charismatic, maybe, they could give a little, but like he's not really giving them anything. I feel like Bayleigh has to put a lot of the battery in his pack to really even campaign, mainly. So I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like even if he were to stay, I could see him leaving soon.
For some reason, I see him staying. Like, I don't know if it's like really out of pocket. Granted, Tola does have Dougie writing for him, which is a whole other force. But I think if they were just going toe to toe, like if I was looking at them as players in the house, I mean, obviously in my position, I would probably have been more like riding with the girls and wanting the girls go forward. Like Tola is somebody that eventually, even if he's not doing something right now, eventually down the line, I can see him taking shots at the. I don't know him in the house. Maybe he's like is different and his social game is different, but like I could see him eventually taking shots at the girls versus Todd is someone that's not necessarily for the girls or even for that side, not even the girls, that side of the team. But he's gonna be like a non-active like he literally is just a non-active player. Like he's like a body there. So it's like he can really be swayed either way. He's not someone like Elijah that has like these like construed, like he'll take misinformation and like construe it in his head. Like he literally like he's probably like a vault of information and he doesn't even say anything. He's just like, and you go somebody like that is more, it's not even like they can be manipulated, I want to say, but it's like they can be really like they can go anywhere. Like they're not gonna fly. I don't see him flying off the handle and winning HOH and making a big move. Like he's gonna be like, what is everybody like? And somebody like that, like Tola, if he gets power, I can see him actually doing like a game move like that. And maybe in a game with such powerful players like this who are already controlling so much of the game, you need players like Todd to be like, like, I'm just happy to be here. Is it the best, like, maybe for like the show in general or like what you want to see of players on the show? But like being a player on this season with those all-stars, I feel like Todd could be that swing vote that you might need. And I think that's why Bayleigh's riding so hard for him. So I feel like, I don't know, some part of me sees it, but if Dougie had any say in anything, then Tola shall stay. He said it.
And that's really why I think Tola is gonna stay. Like I think that because Anthony wants him there, like especially like there's a digital daily conversation today where Anthony is telling Todd straight up that I'm voting you out because I can't use you in this game. He said straight up, like Tola's gonna go after people that I need him to go after. You're not. You're probably gonna be swayed by the girls, and I can't have that. So like I don't think Anthony even wants him to stay in this game after that conversation. I will be shocked if Spicy decides, okay, no, we're going to stand our ground. We're going to go against Anthony, but I don't think they will. But speaking on Bayleigh, I think that Bayleigh is doing a lot of good work trying to keep Todd. Like she's the main one in Spicy and Kayla and Avery's ear, wanting to keep him in the game, and I think that's really good. Like she understands what she needs in the game. I hate that every realization she comes to, she shares with Spicy, she shares with the other girls. That is just not going to benefit her, and I'm really curious as to what her mindset is because I thought it was going to be like a self-preservation. I thought she was just going to, mind her business, be quiet, not say nothing, and just run with Anthony and them until it gets to a certain point. But like she's very vocal about how she feels, and that's why she keeps getting into it with Anthony every damn day. They dropped 4 digital dailies today, and she argued with Anthony in every single fucking digital daily. Like their beef, is so crazy. Yeah. And like I just feel like that's what's gonna get her in trouble because it's like she's very vocal, and she said this preseason, like she wants to have a hand in every elimination. I think a lot of the women in this season kind of feel that they want to have a hand in who goes home and how it happens. And I feel like the issue is Bayleigh isn't actually part of the core, so she's doing things, she's questioning things, and she's like, "Well, why am I not being told this? Well, what's the issue with this?" Because she's not actually in the core, but she's working so closely with that group of people. And I just think eventually she's going to get cut. Maybe because of the executive veto this week. I just think she could easily be a target. Next week for Anthony, I think it's always going to come up. Similar to like Vivek. It's like Bayleigh can always go. And Bayleigh says it herself. Like she thinks it's because Anthony is aware that she distrusted him because she told him. She's very open about how she feels. So I just feel like
that's not her best. Yeah, I the thing with Bayleigh that I do like is that she is like one of the players that came in with this whole, I mean, she pushed it a little too hard at first of like, you know, girls, and
Right.
too much of that target on you. But she's very, very loyal to it in the sense of like, you know, like I want to see like these strong females make it to the end. I just think sometimes at the beginning she didn't articulate it properly, and she has a big personality, so you have to tone it down at some points. And she's also very emotional, and like when she has those conversations, she's very trusting, and she I think she just like sometimes might think she's just having like a conversation like she would in the real world, and like she's actually like she's talking through her emotions and feelings really well if it were in the real world. But in a game like this, put that screen on it sometimes, right? So I like but when she does sit down and talk game, and like I feel like she has a good awareness of it. But again, she's one of those players that like she doesn't have as much like really any social pull, but the girls still see her. I think Bayleigh for me I in my head I think of it like Victoria's side and Anthony's side, even though they're working together. I see it as like these two sides, and you have Anthony's side, and like the Tola for Anthony is like the Bayleigh for Victoria. I feel like she's stir that stuff up, which is good if Victoria is like thinking for herself, because I've really only seen like Kayla try to like really vouch for Bayleigh, because I think she sees like Bayleigh's value for them. But I think if I were a player like Victoria, I would want to keep someone like Bayleigh around, because that's like Bayleigh's the closest to matching Victoria's energy in the sense of like just being a presence. And that's great for someone like Victoria's game. If she does want to have those moments where it's like it's too thing for me and I want to fly off the handle a little bit, like Bayleigh's like a really easy person to get swept up in that, who's still going to ride for you and like paint the target on herself. But I think she's been doing well considering of how much she's been talked about to get out, and she's still here.
Right.
I feel like anytime I've seen her talk game, and I mean I agree with the Anthony stuff, she's a little too open. I think also like her Achilles heel is how transparent she is.
Right.
But I think like in terms of game and talking, like actually making moves, like I think the girls like are keeping her around, because the second that they want to like flip and go all, you know, power, like let's keep
use her,
or they're gonna use her, and they're gonna need her, honestly. And that's what makes Bayleigh slightly, I think, above Tola for me in gameplay, because it's like we need a Bayleigh, like we need this specific person to like potentially, like even if I wasn't trying to do a girls thing and we just happen to be in this like hot, like they're in the hot chocolate thing, and then Bayleigh's here, and then we talked about a girls agreement, like I would want Bayleigh there, because eventually she's gonna take a shot at a bigger player in general. It's gonna be like she's gonna put someone like, well,
she said she wanted to put up like Matt and Lexus, which is like a big move. I don't know. What do you feel like you would rate her though?
I'd give her a 5.5 for me.
I see that, actually.
You know what? I think she's done well navigating conversations. I think like again, just her transparency is her fault, I think.
Yeah,
I agree. Lee, what you think?
Yeah, I think definitely the 3. I'm going to go with the 3 only because she was almost backdoored this week. I do think that if the executive veto comes into play somehow, maybe she could go up. I just feel like her days are limited. I just feel like I feel like we're looking at a top 6 of the hot chocolates and Matt for sure. Like I just think like, and this week will draw like a line in the sand for that. Like if Todd goes home, I don't see an opening for anything else to happen now, unless Bayleigh can get a win. But like if she gets a win and she targets Lexus, Matt, Anthony, she's just out next. You know, I just feel like even if she is able to get to a point where she can make a move, she will just go right after. So I just feel like I don't know. Like I just don't see it for Bayleigh in this game.
I feel similarly, which is why like I was thinking like, and the reason I feel like not good about Bayleigh's game is like her personality, just who she is. I feel like it bleeds into her game, and I feel like it's not easily digestible a lot of the times in the game because she's so open. She's just honest. I feel like she's too honest, because the reason Matt and Anthony are after her is because they know she's after them, because she sells people. She's after them, and it's like that's not good for her game, and I feel like that's gonna mess her up. But I do like that she's with the girls. I do think I agree with Renee in the sense that the girls are going to try to keep her keep her. They need her. They really do need her. And I think they recognize they need her, especially now that they don't have Janine or Donna or Dinis. So I think they really do know they need her. My worry is the fact that the boys are probably all going to try to target her next week. And, I know my man has its executive veto, and I think my man might use it and put her up if he can. Or even if he can't put her up, Elijah wanted to renom her anyway. So I'm kind of scared for her still this week, because maybe Tola doesn't have it. But what if Anthony has it? Or what if Matt has it? And it's like, even if it's like long lasting, they could just feel like the girls all want to save Todd. We need to make sure Todd has no chance of staying by putting him up next to someone else, maybe like Bayleigh. And then if Bayleigh's on the block, they might be like, well, shit, if we need to weaken the girls, let's just take her out. So I'm kind of feeling scared for her this week. But I'm gonna give her, I think I agree on the 3. I don't feel wonderful about her. And because I agree on the 3, I'm gonna move Tola down to a 3. I ain't gonna play on her face because he not above.
Girl, that was crazy when you first said it.
He not above her, I guess. But he might put her on the block and take her out this week. So put a pin in that until tomorrow night at
Girl, that man do not got that executive veto. Hang it up.
Yeah, I really don't think he has it, but I don't know. My fear is actually like someone like Avery having it, but we'll see.
Oh God!
I mean,
let's not say that. We ain't even got there
yet, so we don't need it.
We ain't even got there yet. But let's talk about Matthew. Matthew is next. He was in our top 6. Our top 6 is literally the hot chocolates and Matthew. They're kind of people who are all in the game. It definitely could be. These are kind of the people who are all in the directors. I've always kind of liked Matthew's game, even though he can be grouped in with these boys who are relevant. He really can't, because he's in the directors. He basically formed the directors. He's the reason he's kind of in this forced safety position with this group of people. Since he's in this alliance with them, he is the closest person to Anthony. Really? Honestly? Because Spicy V is fake close to Anthony. That's weird. But he's like the closest other person to Anthony other than Spicy V. And so that really brings his game up a lot. And I like his social game. I think even when the girls kind of feel some type of way about him, it's almost because of nothing. Like it's him and Lexus. Like, I don't think him and Lexus are actively doing things to cause people to distrust them, other than hanging out with each other all day, which isn't the best. But I think a part of them just feels like we're in this alliance, we're loyal to this alliance, so we're rocking with them and we're moving along. But one thing that Matthew does that I don't even see Lexus do is Matthew does talk to these other people. There's digital dailies where Matthew is just talking to the girls, or he's just in a conversation with Victoria and Anthony. So I actually do like that he's a little bit social. I just don't think he's the most strategic. Spicy V just got caught up and all her shit just got exposed to him. He didn't do anything about it. He seemed to not even believe Elijah, who was telling the truth. So I don't love that decision, but I think that decision is going to help him do better in the game, just like his decision to be Anthony's son is going to help him make it farther in the game. So I think he can make it a few more rounds. I think he's still in an okay position, but also if the girls want to target him, they might, because they are not easily predictable. They're not predictable. So I'm gonna just keep him at the 5 because I don't know what to do with him other than that.
Yeah.
I agree with the 5.
Period.
But I agree. I like him. I want him to do a bit more. Like, sometimes I feel like I see potential, and then he goes straight to Dougie and he's like, yeah, bro, like, you won't believe what they're doing. I'm like, save a piece of it for yourself. Like, play with Dougie. I think that's good for him. But like, build your thing. If he's having the conversations on the side, then maybe he is doing that, and maybe he's like doing more than like what I'm seeing right now. Right. But I like him. I think he's a cutie. Yeah. I think we'll keep him around. Jury.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I just think the target on the showman's back is building up, and I really do not like that he got all this information from Elijah, him and Lexus. I don't like that they got all this information about something that Spicy, Kayla, and Avery actually were doing prior to all of this, because they're claiming it's only because he told them what Matt said, when really they've been talking down on Lexus and Matt's name for weeks now. But they didn't question it at all. They didn't seem bothered by it. They just seem to accept the fact that this is all goose. And I shouldn't be shocked, because Lexus, she got into the hot shot because in her mind has been like on that the entire time. And Matt, his main thing was getting attached to Anthony and staying with that. So I just feel like they're kind of just like one track minded. I want them to be a little bit more involved because there is a chance that they will, Avery and them use Bayleigh to go after them, or if Todd can stay, use him to go after them. Like they're going to continue to try and get that showman's targeted, even if at some point they do it themselves. And I would hate for the shot to get taken on them first because they're not paying attention. I will stick with the 5 because it's here or there whether or not they're actually going to do it. And commit to it. That's the main thing. They don't commit to a lot of things here. So I'm just like, are they even going to commit to that? Like, they may want to change their mind and get out Lexus. Like, you never really know.
Yeah.
But
and I feel like that's going to bite them in the butt later. Like, the one thing I did notice with the showmance is, like, which I love, like, this energy in general. Again, in, like, the real world, I would love this for you. But, like, in a game like this, like, the unbothered energy is, like, only going to get you so far. And I feel like Matt maybe is doing a bit more than Lexus. And I do see, like, snippets of him doing a bit more game talk and like maneuvering and stuff like that, but it's not even like he's maneuvering, he's just like talking and he's having the again, what do you like, these players are like touching on, like they're getting like on the hot area, but they're just not like carrying it through. They're just like, yeah, okay, people and that, versus like someone like Kayla who's like, you said my name and be like straight. So I don't know, I like him though. I think he's like fun. I just want to see him like do a little bit more. Like,
me too.
I
feel like he's just not
get
active
this information.
I need flavor, like I'm getting I need a little zhuzh.
Something. Yeah. And I feel like that's not what he's giving. Next we have Avery. Renee, how do you feel about Avery? She's an interesting one, always.
Yeah. Listen, when I first saw Avery, I had like good hopes with like her strategy and like where she was going and this and that. There was a point in the game, I don't know what it was, and I don't know if like she actually did something, but she just wasn't. She like fell off for me. Like she wasn't giving it for me, or she was like actually starting to annoy me in some certain like circumstances. But why? I actually don't even think there's like a genuine reason, but there's like some things that she would be getting into, and I'm like, and what like. What was the purpose of it? And I feel like she so easily like had this. She's one of those like players that come in with like thinking that they know their strategy and then just like completely going on the reverse with it, because she has surrendered to both Anthony and like I think now over like this past week, like she's showing her loyalty again back to V and like how she's like really there for V. But like there was a good chunk of that game that she was just like, Anthony, like what are we doing? Blah blah blah. And I like I see like the difference in prioritization. I don't think she'd ever go after either of them. Right. And so for that reason, because I feel like she wouldn't even take the shot at them, even if she needed to for her own game. I don't know. And then she'll like, I don't know. She just comes in at random points. And I think she has a good maybe read on the game, but I don't know. There's just something that's not, I don't know. Sitting around. I don't know. Yeah. But I'll give her, you know what? She is sitting really well in the house. So I'm going to give her a 5 for that. I'm going to, a 5. I'll give her actually, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. She is a hard one though. I feel like I kind of feel the same as you. I love her position in the game because she's in the hot chocolate, she's in the directors, and also Kayla and Spicy are taking a lot of that heat when it comes to their little trio in this moment. And last week the reason I had Avery lower is because Avery was taking, I feel like, a lot of the heat with Spicy, but now it's more so Kayla and Spicy, and I feel like they just rotate. It's gonna be Avery next week, and then the next week it's gonna be Kayla. But right now this week it's more Kayla, it's more Spicy. So I think Avery's the most safe in this little section right here. So I really like that. But like you said, it seems like she's just gonna throw her game away for Spicy, Anthony, or maybe even Kayla. I can see her throwing her game away for anybody she's close to at this point, and I really don't like that.
You think
I really don't like that.
Gonna throw her game away for other people?
Who?
Like you think Avery is gonna throw her game away?
I do very much so, for everybody. I think she'll do it for the whole cause. She'll do it for anybody. So I just don't trust her. I really don't trust her in that regard. I think she's getting better. I feel less of that energy than I did last week. So I'm gonna move her up to the just the 6, because it's so hard with these girls. These girls do a lot of just like it's whiplash over here, so I can't go too high on none of them. I'm gonna just leave her at the 6. Lee, how you feeling?
Yeah, no, I really do like Avery, like the person. I think what's annoying about her is the gameplay that she's doing. It's the like, okay, are you really playing for yourself, or are you just playing for Spicy and Anthony to win at the end of the day?
Mhm.
Like a lot of the times, and what gets me annoyed about Kayla and Avery is that, you know, Spicy comes at them, she twists shit up with them, she gets them overthinking, they get together and just say anything. Just a bunch of girls in the room saying exactly to each other, just agreeing about dumb shit.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Spicy, of course, she makes sure her position is great. She talks to Anthony, says, well, they're the problem. She talks to Lexus and says, they're the problem. They're going to put you up. And Kayla does that on her own a little bit, but Avery really doesn't do that at all. Like, and I think that's my issue. Like, Kayla has the forethought to still make sure that she is in a good position or in people's number one position, where I feel like it's Avery, she's more so just like, I'm protected by the group. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that naturally her social game is better than all of them, especially in the beginning of this game. Like, she was speaking to everyone. She had, like, I feel like, a connection with everyone. And as the weeks go along, I just feel like she's reverting more with just being around Spicy and Lexus and Anthony. I will say there's not that many people left in the game, really. So, you know, but at the end of the day, I just feel like, let's say Matt does get an HOH, Tola does get an HOH. I do think Avery will be the one in danger if they are targeting one of the hot chocolate girls. So I think it's a 6 for now because of the position, but I just feel like I'm really excited to when we start getting to the jury phase of this game. Like, the next few people to go out, I'm excited because this little beef that's happening between, like, the girls versus Lexus, Anthony, Matt, like, that's going to get really, really interesting. That's when we're really going to see who's going to take it, because, you know, right now we just don't know whose side is going to maintain power. If they flip at all, they all 6 could just be in the top 6. But
yeah, literally,
that's going to really get interesting.
Yeah, I like the point that you made, that I feel like I think you touched on it perfectly. Like, I think at the beginning of the game, she came in and she positioned herself and moved all these pieces and was really having those combos, and she seemed like she was like a force taking charge. And then all of a sudden, like, I just feel like, okay, now I set up what I needed to, and now I'm like gonna rock with this. And it's like never, I feel like, I don't know, just in a game like this, you can't be too sure of that. I think these people are loyal to her and they're keeping her protected in the group, but it's like, I don't know, I was like, I wanted to see her, like, again, like, just have that same energy and, like, carry it more consistently, or, like, not just, like, surrender to her parents, aka Spicy. Like, it gives that energy. It gives, like, okay, Dad, what do you want me to do? I'm gonna
literally, though.
The issue is, I think the word is that she's like, she got comfortable, and I feel like this goes for Matt, her, and, like, the reason Matt, Avery, and Lexus are the 3 bottom ones, and Victoria, Kayla, and Anthony are the 3 top ones, is because Matt, Avery, and Lexus are complacent. They got in these good positions. They are good positions, but they got complacent in these good positions while the other 3 didn't, and that just slides into Lexus. I feel like Lexus's issue has been the fact that the girls are saying she isn't giving her information. She's not telling us anything, and it's because in Lexus's mind, I'm in 2 alliances. I'm in 2 alliances with these people, a big one with the directors and then a small one with the hot chocolates. That's the way you play the game. You get in alliances and you rock with them. So Lexus is thinking in a more, I feel, old school BB style, to where you just stay with the group and you make it to the end and that's it. And because of that, she's not doing anything else, really. She's not putting in any work elsewhere except just that. And she's not even putting any work in that because she's comfortable in it. And that's the same thing with Matt, and that's the same thing with Avery. They're all just comfortable in the fact that they're kind of good. Avery spirals more because she's closer to Spicy V and Kayla, but she isn't actually putting active work to keep her position good. And I think that's my issue with Lexus. I think she's more safe than Matthew a little bit, but I don't like that she's going down this path of just being complacent. And then when Elijah told her valuable information, I don't have confidence that she'll do anything with it because she's been so complacent this whole time. I feel like she might stay over Matt, but she also might go over Matt because these girls get wild. But because she's in the hot chocolates, I'm gonna give her a 5.5 over Matthew, but below Avery.
Literally just reminded me, like, of, I think, what, like, irked me in the, like, Avery switching over to, like, the Lexus situation. But I think because, like, Avery was like placing herself so well, but then by the time like she got like even with this girl thing on the side, like Lexus and Avery could have benefited from this in the sense of like I don't see like a player like Donna or Dinis like going after maybe Dinis for the showmans like later on in the but at that point in the game I didn't see either of them going after Lexus and Avery. And I think in those times when it's such a big group and like you can have like those flowy conversations where like not every conversation is going to get pinpointed, you could throw out the ideas of like, is this the best move for us? Like where does this put us? Like how can I maneuver with the other side? Like Lexus is only now considering Tola as being good for her game because of the showmans. That just has now been labeled a showmans. It wasn't before. It was like a, I don't even know what.
They were just flirting, like a flirt man's. But now it's showmans.
It's like getting solidified. Now she's like, oh, Tola's great for my game, and that's where I think is gonna bite a player like Lexus because I was actually like surprised. Like I love her like unbothered queen energy. Like I really do love it. But again, in a game like this, you can only like that's a good facade to play, but you have to be doing the back end work and like behind the screen. And it's like I don't see her like I see her getting massages. I see her napping. You know what? After you win and carry vetoes like that, maybe you need a nap. But it's like then you fuck up and then you go talk and like even her having like the veto and like the position that she is actually in a good position in the game that it's like she can start dropping seeds. Like if I was a player like Lexus, I would start planting seeds here and there of like starting to like get people to think like, hey, this is someone that strategically knows how to like generally move the game a little bit so that I can actually have these conversations. I feel like Lexus and Matt could be like, hey, like, don't come after us. We're not bothering anybody. And like, no one's going to take it seriously because you haven't had those conversations that are needed. And then when it's too late, she's going to come and start talking game and it's going to be out of the blue and people aren't going to understand. Like, so for that, like, I think she's a great competitor. I think she's sitting well in the house. I'd give her a 6 because I like homegirl, but it's just, she's
period.
I don't like the complaint. Like, I think it's just, it's not even complacent. It's just like very like lax. I like her lax energy, but like in the game,
it's
I'm like
nonchalant.
But
girl, we're in a game. Let's get to it.
So well, and I think like when people don't have that fire under their butt, and this is like a frustration I had in the house when I felt like, you know, I sat for a very long time up on the block, so I had a lot of observing, and I'm like, people that aren't on the block and who aren't even like mentioned or talked about hitting the block, like they move a bit differently, which you can, but it's like when you're outwardly showing that and that comfortability, that can be a target too in itself. So if the showmance isn't going to do it, is a comfort, like, because Spicy was already like, she's being too comfortable and we're sitting here doing the work and like she's just so. I mean, but I want to see Lexus go far. I like her. I really like her. And I think she's she was doing that POV like easy.
She killed that. Shout out to that POV. And I do think that's a plus for Lexus is that she can win comps. Lee, how you feeling about Lexus?
Right? Yeah.
That's going to be a plus for her. I think that because of the hot chocolate / director core, I can easily see it be a top 6 or just some type of like combination of those people in that top area. And I can see her beasting her way through. If Matt gets the fuck up and start winning some comps, we could really have a good nasty back and forth. Like I need a good Derek Kayla situation, Jillian Emmett. Like let's give us the back-to-back teas. I need them to keep safe. Because my issue with Lexus is like everything that y'all are saying, the complacency. Like, I love that she's nonchalant and minding her business, but it's just like you have to get into the game. And the fact that all of this information got leaked and she didn't question it, she didn't have a second thought. There was no private conversation with Matt. Like, well, maybe this is the case. I do think that she is in a great position, especially if Tola stays, because that whole, Anthony side of things, she's protected by that. So if Tola wins, Matt, Anthony, these people win, she's going to be good. People like Bayleigh and Vivek, they're targets. They will likely go home. And then if the 3 girls just end up in top 6 with the showmance and Anthony, then, they have no choice but to target her then, but it's like, it's top 6. Now you got to beat her in the competition. And it's like, can you do that? Like, I think that if she gets over that hump, where some of these stragglers go that they can use to target her, get out, then she'll be primed for the end game. But at that point, can she even can she even get the respect to win the game? And that is a whole different conversation. Like once you're perceived a certain way in the house, it's hard to kind of get that respect and garner those votes. And I feel like Lexus as a player, like I keep saying this, but she's not gonna try to change their mind. She's not gonna try to, like, you know, for lack of better words, beg for their vote. She's gonna continue to be the Lexus that she is, and they're either gonna have to get over it or get, you know, target her. And so we'll see where that's going to go, but I do have to bring her down to a 5.5. I agree with that because I just feel like her name keeps coming up as a target. It's definitely going to happen at some point. It's going to happen. They're going to get her before she can get them because she's just not aware of it. And, you know, I think that she can bounce back from it, and I'm excited to see what happens when that happens. Like, I almost kind of want them to go ahead and take the shot just to see what she does after that. But it's like, yeah, she's going to have to get over all of her name getting thrown out, which I think it will go away at some point. Like if the next people go home, like y'all don't need to be worried about Lexus. You need to be worried about getting down Anthony and Matt if you want to win at this point. So, you know, hopefully she can just last until it gets to that point in the game. And then she has a chance of, I feel like, honestly, being in Final 3.
I completely agree. And actually, after I saw her, like, win the first comp and kind of like how she held herself in the house for the first week or two, I was like, I really like her. And when I saw her on the digital dailies, I was like, you know what? I can see her going to the end game. And I think what I will say about her is, like, I think she has every tool she needs to get to that end. But I don't know, again, if she's going to utilize it in the way that she needs. Like, she has it all, which is why I think she's a little bit frustrating to watch in that sense, because you see, like, actually, like, you have this, like, she has this, like, stoic, like, presence of her. She's very just, like, calm and, like, neutral, and you want somebody like that when you're with all these big personalities, or someone like Bayleigh. Like, you can really show how your composure can come through, and when you hear rumors about yourself, how you, like, can take it, process it, but then do something about it. Like, you don't just like, I think she takes it, she processes it, she doesn't fly off the handle. Like, I want to see Alexis with, like, fire under her ass, and she's, like, in a competition, and she's like, I'm gunning for you. Like, I can, because I think someone like her, if she, like, turns to you and is like, yeah, I'm winning and I'm coming for you, like, she I could see, like, I would eat that up.
I would eat it up so bad. I
would be like, yeah, like, I just want her to, like, have this, like, you know, continue her, like, stoic thing, be doing the work, but then turn and be like, I'm doing this to you because, like, I've heard this. She could be one of those players. So, like, maybe she's just collecting everything and then she's gonna, like, take her shot. But I don't know. There's something, even the way she was saying in her POV thing, like, now's just not the time to do it. It's like, girl, let me tell you again, from the comp beast herself, that opportunity does not come around often. So when you have things like,
you better use it.
You better get on it.
Now, Renee, who will take the shot, is Victoria. So how are you feeling about Spicy V is what I want to know.
I gotta give, listen, I know she is, like, a very sporadic player, and she's been all over the place, and I don't even really understand the method to her madness. I don't even know. But I gotta give her a 7 because the way that she had for consecutive weeks to be in that house, to be living there 24/7, and to be, like, spiraling all these things and no one is questioning you to the degree of, like, you actually have all that heat and no one's even believing it. I don't care what anybody says, there is a mastery and skill in that, even if she doesn't see it or what she's doing, and it's working out for her. So 7. 7 all the way. I don't think she's going home anytime soon. Like, I really see her, like, riding it out, even potentially, like, after it, if there was to be a shot against Dougie, which I don't even know if that's going to be the case anymore, but it, like, she has
even after that.
But if the second that it backfires on her, if it does, then she's gone. So there's a very fine line we're teetering for a Spicy, but 7 for me.
I agree. I literally feel the exact same way. Like, I actually, I hate to say it, I actually like the potential of what her game could be. That was a very specific sentence. I do like it because what she does is she, like, pretends to be cool with the people she's talking to. So, and it's not just, it's an active pretend. She's actively playing in their face. She's very much so, yes, we need to do this, this, and this. And then when she's talking to Anthony, she's giving him pointers of how he can go against the people. She was just telling them to get pointers. However, it's them. Like, she's very actively playing the sides against each other. And you know that part is on purpose. What I'm missing is her intention and her goals and how she's protecting her people. Because so far, she has not. A lot of the people who could have been people for her are leaving the game. And I don't like that, which is why I agree on the 7. It is a fine line. It is a tightrope. But I actually do like the chaos that she's doing, because it's at this point it is a control. She's controlling it. She's controlling the chaos. She is, and she's safe in it.
Controlling it. I
don't think she does.
Like, she doesn't actually. If she was able to sit in the DR, and she does like allude to the fact when she started like pitting Donna and Lexus against each other, she's like, it's kind of good for me, because if they ever end up going against each other, it's them. And they didn't say anything to each other. Like, Lexus didn't go to Donna and vice versa. And it was so early in the game. So I think she's doing it, but while she's doing it, she's losing sight of what she actually needs for her game. She's just doing it like because it does something. So we'll see. But I like it.
But basically that, like, I feel like she thinks that like doing this means I am playing Big Brother, but there isn't like an actual end goal. And I do think that regardless of that, like, she can end up in the end game. Because like I said, one thing she does do is she'll throw them under the bus, but it's never her. And they actually believe it. And I think I'm sold on the 7 now. It probably will go higher, because the fact that her game got fully exposed today, her game should have been exposed.
Yeah,
it should have fully been out in the open. She should have been getting dragged, and people should have been questioning her, and they didn't. And I don't think Kayla and Avery ever will, unless she puts them up. I don't think Lexus and Matt actually will. Like, I don't like. Goose is impressed with her right now, but it's like, how far is Goose going to get in the game? And can she just change that? She probably can. Like, she's really good at talking to these people. I do wish I just felt like it was more intentional. It does feel like she's more so leading with her paranoia, sometimes her emotions for some of these people. But in general, the end goal is to get to the end of the game, and she's still able to get to the end of the game doing what she's doing. Like, I don't see her getting touched at all. And like the way she's running the information back, it's always Kayla and Avery are doing this. Those girls are doing this. So she is protecting herself on all angles. It's just, like I said, with Victoria, it's a long-term thing. It's like, okay, if Todd goes this week, if Bayleigh goes next week, if Vivek goes after that, these are all people who have some sort of connection to you leaving in a row. And those are the next targets. So it's like, I'm curious to see Victoria's game when she is in top 6 with the hot chocolates and just like, how is she going to handle it? Like, if she wins an HOH, how is she going to get them out of the game? Like, what is it going to give? Because if she wins another HOH and she says, fuck it, I'm going after Lexus and Matt, and Bayleigh's still here, Tola's still here, Vivek is still here, it's going to be like, girl, what are you doing? So I just feel like I'm interested to see her in power again, and just also in power when they're at like the top 6 and top 5. Like, how are people going to react to basically her in power?
But I think one thing about Spicy, though, that like you like know this too, like when you meet her, that I think like this actually gives her potentially an edge if she uses it well, like over Anthony, is there's just like this very natural trust that comes with Spicy that you don't even realize like you have, like, and that's to an extent with Anthony, but you can clock it a bit more because he's so composed and he's so together. But Spicy is so like out there that everything she does like comes off very genuinely. So even when she does sporadic things, and she could probably tell you one thing to your face and then come back 2 hours later and tell you something else, and you're going to believe her shifts every single time, just because that's her personality. And like, she's just like, there's just this trust that I feel that like people just naturally have with her, and that's not really something that is like can be played, right? Like you can try to exude it and act it, but like only some people will believe it. And like people like Matthew and Lexus, like they're believing Victoria. Like Victoria is the person that has had Lexus's name in her mouth the most, and Lexus is like really like, she'll sit there and talk to Spicy about the POV and like blah blah blah. Will Spicy have like all the influence over as like Anthony would over like an HOH? Maybe not, but is she gonna be that shoulder that you cry on at the end of the day? Yeah, and that like says something, and that's something like that type of trust when you feel that in the game, even if it's with somebody that you're not super like close with or whatever, like you go back to all the time. And I think that's something that I'll give a shout out to Daniel C for, because it's like you felt this like natural trust, even if you weren't even playing alongside them the whole time. It's just she's so sporadic with it. I just think that's her one golden ticket over Dougie that I could see her if she utilizes it well, but she has to knock out the people on his side, unfortunately. If you need to show at the end that you've knocked out his people and you did it strategically. Like there's a side to that too, right? But she could stand up and listen, I played with my heart. That means I'm a natural player and I know what I'm doing. I didn't even have to do anything strategically because I just can naturally play this game and win. And like that, I could see her winning on something like that too. So
definitely,
I agree. The next one is Kayla. Lee, how are you feeling about Kayla?
I feel like I'm always back and forth on Kayla. Like at first I was like, I would definitely give her a 7, but then I'm like, I don't know, only because I feel like, Tola did say her name. Goose is throwing her name with Spicy and all of this misinformation shit. I just feel like, Matt is going to go far with the hot chocolates. And if he gets to that point, I mean, it's going to be easy for him to throw Kayla on the block. I just feel like I wish there was a little bit more individuality to her game. I do think that she gets caught up in so much of the Avery and the Spicy of it all that she isn't able to really be this lone wolf that she kind of is in the game right now. She doesn't have a duo that she's necessarily attached to. And I feel like she isn't utilizing that side of her game enough. Because, like, why did Tola even throw your name out? Like, girl, you should have Tola on lock. You know what I mean? And, like, I feel like she's a player to where, like, she is going to reinforce her position. Like, I see her having a lot of these individual conversations, like, similar to what Anthony and Spicy do. Like, she's one of the only newbies who does those things, I feel like, to make sure that she herself is in a good position. But I don't know. I just feel like working so closely with Spicy and how Spicy throws her under the bus, she's always going to get caught up with that because Spicy's not going to be the first one targeted out of them three. It will be them too. And Kayla's the bigger threat over Avery. You know what I mean? And Spicy realizes that. Anthony realizes that. So I just feel like unless she kind of comes into her own, which is almost impossible because she is so loyal to Spicy and Anthony, I don't know. I just don't see her necessarily being able to get the win. Like I can see her winning, but it's like it takes very certain circumstances. Like if they end up in the top 6, like I said, and she can win those competitions, maybe. But I just feel like I said, I would just appreciate if she kind of could stand alone from all of the mess because she continues to be in it every single week. And unlike Spicy, she's not protected by Anthony and all of these other things. She could easily go. So I think the position is great. So I'll stay with the 6.5. But I just I feel like every week it's like something else. And I'm just like, Kayla, why are you in this?
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna give her the 6.5 as well, and I agree with a lot that you said. I do feel like that her game is a standalone game, and it's not. I think her game contradicts itself. I think that Kayla, without this attachment to Victoria, Kayla in the seasons with all newbies, she would be a type of player where her game kind of stands alone in a manner to where she has this person over here. She's able to have great one-on-one relationships with these kind of people, kind of like Kuzi at the beginning of last season, where Kuzi was able to have a lot of connections with a lot of different random people in a way, but also still be good with her group. I feel like Kayla could have had that upside, but now in this season, because she's in this particular whirlwind with Victoria, it's contradicting her natural way of playing the game. I think naturally Kayla is the best player in this house after Anthony, of course. I do think she's naturally a really good player because we hear all the time, why does everyone think Kayla's their number one? The reason these people get so upset with Kayla is because they actually trusted Kayla. That's why Tola said her name. That's why Elijah said her name, because they were the most shocked. Elijah specifically said, I was most shocked at Kayla. Why is Kayla the one who's telling on me? And it's because she did have such great relationships with these people that they're so shocked and that they're so upset at her and stuff like that. So I feel like if she wasn't doing both things, if she wasn't being crazy with Victoria and then also eating it up socially, it wouldn't be this big contradiction and we wouldn't be so confused. But because she is, it's like a confusing situation, puts her in a confusing position, puts her in a, she's just not in the best place. So I think it's a 6.5. Renee?
Yeah, I agree. I think she's 6.5. I actually have I've been I don't know if it's like pleasantly surprised, but I've liked where Kayla's game is going. But I completely agree with you that she has a lot more to juggle in this situation with the element of the all-stars. I think that in a regular season, have the all-stars not been there, she does still have like a standalone game, but it's kind of getting caught in the shadows of Anthony and Victoria. But the other situation that I had, which is my frustrations from the beginning of the game of how quickly everybody fell into like knocking the first three players off, because I felt like they were going to be a detriment to people's games like Bayleigh and Kayla and Lexus, who I wanted to see continue on. Not so much Lexus now. I think she's like okay, but like Kayla is someone that I feel like, you know, she had a great game plan. She had the vision in her like sight, but then it's like she got so deeply entrenched with Anthony and Victoria now that if she tries to stray from that to build something else with Tola or Todd or this or that, it's going to come directly filter back to Anthony and Victoria. And I think she's going to find herself eventually with her hands tied because she went so deep with them. I think on its face, like you should go deep with them, but these players are showing like they so deeply trust that they're like actually willing to put everything into these situations where it's like she could have like pushed more for like at least Donna to stay or like Dinis to stay, to the point that it's like, hey, like it does look good for like, you know, it would, I feel like she actually has the ability to talk and frame it in a way like to pitch it properly to keep them, because now these players are getting knocked off and the only person she has is Avery, who surrenders to whatever. And then Victoria, who it's like, at the end of the day, Victoria, it's like, if she goes off the handle, she's going to play for her own game. And will your game match toe to toe with that? I think that's going to be the interesting to see this season. But I like what she's been doing. I hope that like nothing backfires, but like she also goes like really quickly on like the names and things. Like she reminds me of like a Josh in the sense of like from season 10 with like everybody liking him so much that like when he did do actual game playing moves and had to like maneuver and like was a little bit slimy about it, like people held him to a higher standard and like hit him harder with that. And I feel like she has to kind of like be careful because like again, someone like Elijah coming to her, she played it off well, but I don't know if it keeps coming up, then it's like people are going to be like, okay, is this an act? And once you lose that credibility, whatever, like is your game. So I like her though. I think she can compete. I think she has like, she's starting to question things. She's even questioning Anthony, which is a very scary but needed thing to do.
Speaking of Anthony, last but not least, Renee, let's just let you just give him his 10.
Give him his 9s. I don't want to say too many, but we gotta give him his 9. After last week,
give him his 9.
I would have been more on like the side of like an 8.5. But after last week, there's just like, even he said that at the beginning of this week, he hasn't even needed airtime because he's like, well, I don't even need to talk to Elijah because and I'm like, well, yeah, he maneuvers it. He understands, like he socially, strategically, like we're really seeing, because I feel like in season 7, I was watching it like, again, like younger, didn't understand the game as much, whatever, but like I didn't see that like social finesse as much as I'm like really seeing it this season. Like he had it the whole time, but like this season you can really see how just like in control he is at all times without needing to be in every conversation, every this, every that. Like when Elijah's mad at Spicy, all he's telling her in the digital dailies is like, I need to talk to Anthony. I need to talk to him later.
Exactly.
Like everything's getting filtered to Anthony. Like honestly, he's not in that HOH room, like, you know, like he's not living in it, but he's in it at week. So for that 9, like finesse, I gotta give him stars. Can't even. Like you're not doing like, I feel like he could like, you know, not play up his game so much. Like I felt like sometimes in conversations, the only thing I will say about his game that I personally maybe wouldn't do if I was like so to that like level of playing is like, he's like, have you seen my season? Do you know what I've done?
No, why did he do that? God. And that's what I've been saying all season. I feel like the reason I've been worried about him is like that energy, that like confident, overly confident energy that's like just so obvious to people. That's why people outside of the game are feeling some type of way about him. Janine is like, why is he always like that?
That's the thing. Like think he is like any interaction I've had with him, like he is generally the sweetest human ever, and like it's like it's hard sometimes to see some of these conversations because it's like, why if I was coming back as an all-star and I'm one of two in the whole entire season, I mean, granted he's doing fine work on his own, but I would be trying to distance myself from that whatever I played from, like, oh my god, this is a new season. The new players I don't even know, like this twist, like
exactly.
Like, but I think Dougie is so confident in his like game that he doesn't even feel the need to even try to like put on the facade of like, I don't really know, like that, which he really could like honestly play that up. So like he did in his season, he was kind of like, oh yeah, like I just like everybody, like whatever. So I feel like every time he draws attention to like how good of a player he is, I'm like,
what is the point of that? And I feel like it's those little things for me that makes me feel like every time, but he is just so good at everything else that it kind of takes it away. Last week I gave him a 9 because he was literally running, made Vivek take out his closest ally. This week I don't feel less bad about his game. Like he took out one of the main people who were going out for him last week. This week it's likely that Todd could go home because of his influence, and Todd's one of the main ones who sang his name. Once again, another person saying Anthony's name, going home, and I like that a lot. The only difference I feel about his game from last week to this week is last week Spicy V and the girls were not prioritizing their game. They weren't doing it for Janine, Donna, or Dinis, but this week it seems like they are potentially standing their ground, talking about standing their ground more than they. I feel like they're even talking more about it than they were last week. So
I don't believe it.
I don't know.
I'm sad.
I'm not gonna get bamboozled no more. He getting his 9 because I was gonna be like, well, mate, no, I'm gonna just give him the 9 until noted otherwise. Lee, how you feeling about him?
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing. It's like I want to like clock him for certain things because I don't like that he is so overconfident sometimes, because I think that rubs people the wrong way. Like when Todd was talking in Digital Daily today, he's like, yeah, like people are watching it, calling us all stupid because we're all just getting ran. Like, I don't know if they're taking that negatively. Like, everyone is saying he's running the game. So when he's in front of 2, are they going to be like, okay, he deserves to win? Or could it be, a lot of people have made this comparison, Paul, BB19, where everyone was aware that he ran it. 5 people in jury just didn't give a damn. They were not voting him to win. I don't know if it's going to give that, only because he does have the hot chocolate core. You know what I mean? But if he's next to Victoria, it's like, well, we can just vote Victoria. I hope that his jury management switches up a little bit more, because I don't see, like, I don't know, but like, I feel like, would Janine have voted him? Would Donna? Would Dinis? Like, these people seem like they respect him, but they feel kind of burned. And it's a lot of his own words that are doing it. So I just really hope that that's not something that stays with him into the jury phase of this game. And then, like I said, also, like, if the end game for him is the hot chocolates, which I don't think he necessarily wants it to be him with all 4 of the girls, but like if he ends up there, I don't think it's going to be a great structure, because at that point, I do think Victoria might just go with the girl, or the girls will just keep winning and he'll be screwed. So I'm not feeling as confident about the end game, just because of the unsureness of the girls' strategy. I'm not sure. One day they want to target Anthony, the next day they don't. One day they want to take out his numbers, the next day they won't. If Todd goes home tomorrow, then I'm gonna just stop questioning it. Clearly, nothing's changing. Like, because this is the moment to do something. So if Todd goes home, nothing's changing. I think I'm gonna bring it down 1 point to an 8. But I mean, he's not getting touched.
I think he's gonna pull it through, but I think it's gonna come down to that thing of like I think he knows. I don't get the energy, like the energy he was giving Tola to save him this week. I have not gotten that energy, and Kayla clocked it and called it out. Like, I'm not getting that energy with the hot chocolate. Like, I think he'll talk to them or whatever, but he's like, he even says it in the DR, like, oh, I'm just telling her, like, yeah, let's do whatever you need, Kayla. Like, I'll put this on a silver platter for you, Kayla, like whatever. But he knows enough of the game, and he understands strategically he's going to need people like Tola and Lexus and Matthew all together in it, and like knock people out like Bayleigh and Todd. Because once Bayleigh and Todd get out, if he has Vivek, Tola, Matthew, and Lexus, who is a swing, which more to his side, I don't know. He could be touching that end game, because I don't think any of these players at that point, like, I think he could convince a show. Like, I don't think he's even threatened by the showmans, because I think he genuinely thinks and knows that he can convince a showmance to even pick himself over, whatever. And like if it's anything like Adam and Sam from his season, then he'll just cut Lexus and keep friggin' Matthew. So
yeah,
very much Matthew's always like bro. So we know he's for the bros.
So y'all, I put them in order, and this season we haven't gotten this a lot in Big Brother. There are not a lot of shifts from our last ranking to this ranking. Literally, it's the exact same, except Elijah and Vivek switched. Elijah is now the bottom, Burial, and Vivek is one above him. And Kayla and Victoria switch, and now Victoria's top 2 with Anthony, and Kayla's number 3. That's it. Everything else is exactly the same as it was last week, which makes sense because this game is very, like Renee said, it's either Victoria's tornado or Anthony's finger that they're on. So that's it.
And I feel like throughout the week we get so much mess and so much bullshit and so much misinformation.
Just for everybody to be playing the same game that they was playing before all of
That's why I do think they're gonna just end up being the top 5 hot chocolates, because like they always go back to what they're already doing, which is whatever Anthony wants.
I'm curious to see if like the bottom half of the board like just start getting picked off. I'm just like it's just hopefully there's something that like someone who can get an HOH that can really shift the dynamic of the house, but it's so solidified and intentionally by Anthony and Victoria that it's like, where is it?
Exactly.
Where do you go?
That's exactly how I'm feeling.
I think it's very similar to, and I guess that's literally the point, the hot chocolates, but I was going to say it's similar to the cookout, where in that season you saw a lot of infighting between the group and they never went after each other. I feel like that's what we could have here. Now, I don't know, because they don't like Lexus bad, but I could see it being a situation where they keep bringing it up, and it doesn't matter, and they'll just be top 5.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like Anthony's not going to take them that far. Like, I feel like eventually he's going to tell his boys to, run wild with, like, if they get that taste of the power, like, and Anthony isn't the face of it, Anthony's going to let them run wild with it, and then he's going to be like, I had no control to do this. And then people might clock it if they're smart enough to be like, you were just saying how good of a player you were like 2 weeks ago, and now you're saying you have control. Like, but I don't even know if they'll clock it. Like, it's just so hard to tell. But I guess we'll see next week.
I agree.
That would be the deciding factor. Sorry, I'm saying that would definitely just be the deciding factor. Like, if they clock it, then I'm not sure about his win equity, only because they speak about the hot chocolates very similar to the cookout. Like, this is supposed to be something bigger than, and we're going to stick with it. I'm just wondering if he turns on that or Spicy turns on that at some point, which it seems like they're going to have to.
Yeah.
How are they going to react to that? And same with Spicy, even more on a different level, because she's preaching about the girls sticking together.
Yeah.
If Spicy gets to a certain point and targets Kayla or Lexus, how would they feel about her? So I'm really interested how they're going to juggle the hot chocolates versus wanting to win, because I don't think both can happen.
This is where I see Victoria like getting by stronger than Anthony, because if Anthony turns on something like that, you can actually look at Anthony as a player and be like, you definitely did that because you were conscious and you understood and you placed this and that. Victoria has backdoored the person that was like actually in this like big sisters alliance, and everybody was like, yes, like that.
Yep, exactly.
They blamed it on Anthony.
And everybody's going to turn and say it's Dougie, because he comes off, when you come off more composed in a game like that, when you're next to someone like Spicy's just going to look like somebody like she just was influenced. She didn't know. Like, and Spicy's the fact, like, guys, like, I was kicked out. I didn't know, like, what I was doing. I was the first number. Like, he plays that up, and versus what Anthony's doing in the room next door, being like, have you seen my season? Like, like when you have two players like that, you get two different energies, and I feel like that's when Spicy could actually do the like it could actually somehow work out in her benefit if she does another crazy move like that, because people have already expected it from her. She's uncovered the blind. There's nothing else to like expect anything less than a whirlwind, a tornado. So
I agree. I agree. That's what we're gonna have to see. That's gonna be an interesting season with both of them. I think they were at first. I was like, not them two as the two returnees. It's so random, but I think it's such a duality that it's gonna work out nicely. I'm here for it. So Renee, let the girls know where they can find you if you want, because I didn't want to.
Well, because she has all her own things going on.
Yeah.
No, just joking. But you can find me on Instagram. My name, Renee, and then last name Mior. That's it.
Period. Renee was so great.
This was so much fun.
Oh my god, thank you for coming.
Oh my god, thank you so much.
Yes, it was so fun. Thank you for talking to us, Renee. We do this every week on every Tuesday. We usually have a guest. Last week we had I could go check that video out. On Thursdays, we do our exit interviews. Go check those out. On Wednesdays, we cover Survivor. Go check that out. And we're also covering the Amazing Rays. So yes, get into us or whatever, subscribe or whatever. And thank you for keeping it real with the kingdom. We out. Bye.